the rule of eating things when...
I had thought about this, and I do believe it's not a good idea for me to eat. I did think about having like a snack bowl, but then I realised, you know what I'd do? If we had a snack bowl, I'd sit here just ploughing through it until it was done.
Mm.
And then when it was all done, I'd sit here wanting more.
That's the problem with snacks. You do actually just always constantly want more.
Well, very much right now.
Yeah. But I don't generally snack anymore.
I'm pretty much constantly doing it.
Well, it depends how you eat. There's the two different forms. There's the idea of having little lots, or the whole idea of intermittent fasting, which is the other way around, which is basically you eat within a sort of 8 minute. Sort of 8 minute. That's a quick 8 minutes done. Next, you can eat everything you want in 8 minutes. No, it's you're eating in within an 8 hour window.
Oh, okay.
It's this idea of course, we artificially
Kind of give us a little bit of a forced fast every 18 hours or whatever left.
16 hours basically of intermittent fasting.
Are we recording now?
Yeah, we are recording now.
Alright, we're leaving it going. So I really shouldn't have these in my hand.
I don't know.
Really effing nice.
We can break the mould. To be fair, you're not eating straight into a microphone.
Street mix, inspired by Bangkok.
We haven't turned this into an adult one. I'll have to change the rating on this one.
I'm not
Can
sure.
we name place names and not get in trouble?
I don't know, but I'm not sure how much of an adult I am, so I don't really care. You know, I'm getting red as well now.
If you haven't noticed, we have changed location. We have a little bit more. I did not win the lottery. I did not get some sort of change. We have moved to Tommy's place on a slightly smaller computer, endeavouring to get a little bit of a nicer backdrop. Backdrop's the correct term?
Yeah.
Until we get a green screen, and then we'll just present everything literally on the green screen.
You want green screen? I don't know how I feel about a green screen.
Blue?
If we get a green, we can just change it to whatever we want afterwards. But
that's the joy of it.
I kind of like all the.
Oh no, behind it. So we have the desk, and then we put a green screen behind it.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Or to be honest, if the yellow was more consistent without this sort of your lovely painting lamp, maybe if it's more consistent, then it might do it.
How does it look without?
Turn it up. Turn it off. I don't know if it will readjust.
Oh no. Oh no. Just take it down. So I wonder if you can
zoom it.
Did you say you figured out how to focus it? How much?
Are we a bit out of focus?
I would say we are, but I don't know if you've actually tried to focus.
Let's start.
Big. I'm just closer.
So what you're saying is we're modelling our podcast after Peter Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Presumably we're now recording again or so on.
Are we recording now?
It should be. There was a slight pause, so it should be recording now. It might.
Are we recording and keeping it now?
Well, yeah. We had the other one. I'm not really planning to get rid of it. I might just attach it on. I'll have a look at it.
Alright, because I'm eating again.
We're now looking for the position of continuity editor.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, nice. Use on it.
As opposed to my editing on the last podcast, where if anyone was looking at the times in the bottom right hand corner or on either screen, you'll notice the jumps of 10 minutes.
Could be messing it all up.
This is the problem now. You got space to wander.
Oh right, yeah. In your bedroom, it is just filled with all sorts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And we go.
We go.
Hi.
Please send donations so we can get a clacker.
Yeah.
So if I'm right, they are called clackers.
Are they called clackers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Please comment, say that we're right or wrong.
I'm
like, share,
very
subscribe.
glad we did this actually. Chin chin, Mullet Crusher.
Shakes.
Like, I feel better. It looks better.
Yeah.
We can only make it better from here.
I'm perfectly fine with moving from my place anyway. The computer, I just wanted to use that one because, like, it's a beast. So I knew it would work perfectly.
Yeah, no, it was a beast.
We're now on my little transformer, as it's known.
Why?
Because it comes off the actual keyboard itself is a not only a keyboard but also a hard drive.
Okay.
So it adds distance. Otherwise, it's just basically a touch laptop.
Oh, is that what that box
tablet
thing is at the back?
No, the thing at the back is my hard drive, which is about
what I
a gigabyte. So this, the keyboard itself, is a hard drive,
Okay.
and there's the inbuilt stuff in the actual tablet.
Yeah.
And then I've added a hard drive on the outside of it now so that we can store the massive video.
Right, brilliant.
Because it worked out as about 120 gigabytes or something last time,
Alright, nice one. Wow.
which I will hopefully try and compress because
Yeah.
I didn't last time.
No.
Because we're learning every time.
Yes.
Because if you're not learning every day, you're stagnating.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing. We've decided on the name of T and C apply.
I kind of at the moment. I did think of a couple of others
like
on
it.
the way in.
No, you're still cogitating it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I thought of a different one, of one that you don't hear a lot, which is a hue and cry.
hue and cry.
Which is
Right.
basically you put up the hue and cry, which is basically to go and, like, if someone does a massive crime like murder, you put up the hue and cry to go chase after them.
Okay, but why? How's that relevant to us?
I don't know anymore. It made sense while I was on the bus.
But I mean, like T and C apply. We taking what we talk about and hopefully applying it to ours or others' lives,
Everything.
and everything, and seeing how we can progress things forward in in and outside of ourselves. So that's what this podcast is about. You're beginning a journey, or at least a new journey in the great journey of life.
Got physical as
And
well as mental.
I'm part way into mine, you know.
And the whole thing's a journey anyway.
Yeah, it is a journey, but I think that the thing is realising it's a journey. And even more so, I think realising it's a journey is just the first step into realising it's not just a journey, it's kind of a journey in an act. Like I'm learning that more and more. So like in the last episode, which is strangely dualistic.
Circular.
Right. In our first in our primary episode, we I spoke about this level of difficulty being from one extreme to the other, but it's all really the same difficulty.
Yeah.
It's just as long as it is broad in different areas, you know, and kind of like that. When I got to that point in my life, I was like, "Hang on a minute," and it's not been a consistent point in my life, but I've started to look at the bad things happening and all the good things happening just as a little more of it as an observation, just as part of a show. And it's interesting, and it's not necessarily detachment from the show, because you know, in my life, in my view of life, I'm the main protagonist, aren't I?
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, I am the sole observer. You know?
As far as you're aware.
Yeah, from this movie that I see,
Yeah.
I am the sole observer. You'll see my movie through your eyes, but you won't see my movie.
Yeah, but that's always
And that's your movie.
This is where the Matrix theory comes out of a lot of things, because the only thing that I know that actually truly exists is me, and even then it's based on our perceptions.
Yeah, yeah.
You could be a brain in a tank, but the only thing that you can currently detect that's real is what you can taste, touch, etc.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that lets you know you're real as well.
Yeah.
The fact that everything else exists, and that's what. So if you've got, for example, if you've got an infinite void, so it's about context. First, you need emptiness, then you need something, but that something needs more than just the emptiness. It needs multiple partners in order to discern itself. So what I mean by that, imagine you've got this eternal void of nothing, and you put one little ball into it. Well, what's that ball doing? Is it moving? Is it expanding? Is it shrinking? Well, you never know until you put another ball in there.
You have to apply subjective reality to it
context.
so that you can actually context.
Well, but what's interesting is, and this applies to like this field of grey that I'm calling it, although it's not grey because that implies.
We're not calling the podcast field of grey.
No, please don't. Right, so let's say you put a second ball in there, and those two balls are moving apart. Well, is one ball moving, or is the other ball moving, or are they both moving simultaneously?
Well, that's a big question where they sit in infinite.
Correct. So then you put a third ball in there. Well, how do you know which one? You still don't know which
is the stationary one.
Yeah, exactly. You still will never know.
Was there any stationary?
Correct. And that's interesting because that it literally, no matter how many balls you throw in there, you literally just leveling the playing field for all of them.
So I'll tell you the interesting one, and it kind of connects because one of the things that I wanted to talk about was actually a philosophical question, which is that can there be such a thing such as self?
Yeah, but self doesn't necessarily. This is just my opinion. Obviously, I'm happy to delve into it. So yeah, there is such a thing as self, but it's who do you think that self is?
There's that, and my other way of looking at it as well, and this is, I picked up Nietzsche, so that was what happened at one point, and basically the idea of the self came into it, and my argument point is you cannot be an isolated self. Even by being isolated, you're still part of
the thing you're isolated from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the same as well. Although your entity is a self, but then at the same time, you're always part of what's ever made you.
Yeah.
So you can never be the fundamental lone self. You're always some part of something else.
Yeah.
I think that's the important one to remember.
So when I was a kid, and weird, like as a kid, I've got some weird stories about the contents of my head. I have no right, I think, given the standard way in which you judge people and kids and things like that, I kind of had no way of having the contents of my head being a kid that young. So I'd sit there and I'd philosophise myself just as a young lad. Like there's no such thing as nothing. Nothing is something. Something kind of like this space, this air that we think is a void is nothing. It is something. It's got to be there because that you might even say is that second ball.
Is something.
It is. Well, yeah. I mean, for starters, we wouldn't have a word for it.
Yeah.
If it was nothing, we wouldn't be a word for it. You know. So it is something there. And the other way of looking at it is, if it wasn't for this nothing that was there, well,
there'd be something there,
and that'd be a very uncomfortable place to be.
Yeah. Well,
like ad infinity. You know, we'd be suffocated immediately.
Well, we wouldn't exist.
And then there'd be nothing.
But then there'll be everything.
Isn't it interesting?
There would just be a single whole.
Yeah, so that thing of these extremes, something's got to be nothing and nothing has to be something. And again, it just levels that playing field again and again. And that's a terribly relaxing yet sobering thought. You know, so I've got my dramas in life and I'm just like, yeah, okay. I've had me freak out.
If it's in the way it goes.
You what?
It's where... It's a bit like how you should turn your life into a hero myth, a hero story.
Yeah, you should. Well, I say you should, or you can just not. It's okay.
Oh no, that's up to you. That's your
prerogative. They're
prerogative.
all as easy or as hard as you want them to be. But if you think you like
something's coming slamming in through the door, but or through the window, on the chandelier, you know, that sort of hero. But essentially, you've got the hero myth that you can make out to be as heroic as you want. Can it be just a small movie, or are you going to make yourself into a Herculean hero myth, or even take a more modern one? A lot of people I know play God of War. The hero myth there is Kratos. Literally the sake of he was tricked to kill his family, and then he's the reluctant hero, which is the classic trope, and then he goes out to get revenge on the people that have hurt him. Mm-hmm. And then he ends up, and if you follow all the ones of Gods of War to the latest one, he's got a family and he's trying to get redemption in another way.
It's a computer game,
It's a computer game.
Oh, okay.
There's lots of these sort of hero myths. The whole Marvel TV series, Batman is a hero myth instantly.
Yeah.
The Fall into Damnation, but then a call to Journey. Yeah. And that's kind of why we're going with the call to journey sort of situation.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm being called on my journey by whatever, even by myself. But I suppose you kind of raise an interesting point, is that that's what separates us from animals.
animals have kind of their instincts and their story kind of pre-written, whereas we get to choose ours.
Well, it's like
We literally get to look and go, all right, there is cause and effect, but within that cause and effect, there's this third binding thing, and you might call that self.
It's prediction. Being able to see the future is what really fundamentally makes us different.
I'm not sure if seeing the future is what we can do, but at least we can
Predictions.
we can plan and maybe influence towards. We can direct towards a future image we've got in our head.
We look at something, whether or not we can, if we try to, look to see if something's a good decision, a bad decision, whatever your criteria is. If it's risky or if it's unrisky, once again, your criteria. And take, for example, there was a study once looking into about consciousness in elephants, and the way that we see its consciousness and psychological and biological sense of it is being able to recognise yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they did it with magpies, they did it with elephants, and essentially what they did is they put they did it with a whole bunch. I think dolphins definitely do, but the really strange one is essentially you set up a mirror, you put marker on whatever you're looking at. So magpies was a good one that are conscious according to these sort of tests, and they put a black dot on the black bit and a white dot on the white bit, and they saw to see if it would just take it off by just feeling it. Didn't feel it. So then they swapped them over, put a white dot on the black bit and a black dot on the other one. It saw itself in the mirror and went, what's this thing? Takes it off.
Magpie.
That means so it can actually recognise itself. They did this whole bunch of other different animals. They did it with the elephants in slightly different scales, but essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
One elephant.
Yeah, okay.
One elephant passed. It went across its trunk, across the mirror to the outside the enclosure to actually feel to see if there was another one, and went, oh no, it's me. The rest of the elephants were still in the same enclosure, didn't notice it.
I wonder if that'd be a matter of time though, not a matter
Maybe.
of proof.
Well, one of the reasons gorillas don't, because any watering hole that they go to has got alligators in. So they don't have enough time to develop consciousness to sit there and look at a mirror.
Interesting.
So later on, when you see dogs and cats, etc., then you seem like that they can recognise themselves eventually. Some can, some don't.
Yeah.
But the ones that aren't startled by a mirror have realised that's me. So individuals can possibly gain consciousness. Maybe it's a matter of time before you can work that out yourself.
So what you're saying then maybe is consciousness, and therefore choice comes from awareness and time and education, essentially.
Time, yeah.
There's the beautiful painting analogy in that, because again, that's what I teach. And again, I really still like to develop my painting course, hopefully some kind of therapy course to all people. The more I have conversations like this, the more and more I draw these parallels. Like again, what you said about this predicting the future thing. You have this strong image. Like, for example, some people ask me, how do you paint diamonds so precisely? And some people draw a grid, whereas a lot of the time I don't. I'll draw my diamonds and checkers individually. But how I do it is I have a strong image in my mind already of what a diamond or a square or whatever object it is should look like. And as soon as I put a line on the model, on the canvas, on the whatever, I ask me a question at that first point.
Does that look right?
Correct. I don't wait till I'm finished to ask if it looks right or not. I don't wait. Literally, as soon as my brush touches, I go, right, where's my finishing point? Then I imagine where that finishing point should be. And I go, have I got the right finishing point? And if so, I proceed with a line. And add infinity. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it exactly is the way, and why that can't be just expanded up.
Even back in that one, so my one to jump off that one, literally in the same regard, is, well, if you're trying to plan something in life, there's very easily to go A to Z even, okay? I want this, I need to get there. But what you need to do is to go, I've taken this step, is that the right thing? Step. It's a million steps to get down the road. And it's the same with the painting the diamond. The diamond is, well, I can see it being a difficult thing to paint nonetheless, but even a diamond value and so on and so forth is a difficult step to actually get right, because gems are git to paint.
I just mean the shape of a diamond, by the way, just a simple geometric.
No, fine.
Either way. No fancy effects, but yeah.
But even then, it works the same way that you go, is this right? it's looking right. Where's the start? Where's the finish? What can go in the way? Am I working flat? Am I working 3D? What things could go wrong? How good is my brush?
Yeah, correct.
And these all just extrapolate to different scenarios you're dealing with.
Yeah, man. You bang on right. Again, the first thing I teach on my course, you know, I have this thing, like, I call it risk assessment damage limitation. That's the first thing you've got to know about painting. And again, that extrapolates up to life. And basically that translates to awareness and choice. 100% of the time, that's what painting is. It's awareness and choice. And that's what life is.
Well, taking painting like a masterclass style model, such as your Ragnar Blackmane there, who's in the middle next to the golden demon.
Yeah, I had to put some meaningful items there.
And we've got the Emperor's Tower as well.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily the Emperor's Tower. There's a few.
I have the Emperor's Tower.
There's a few duplicates in there. It literally is.
I have the same deck.
Cards.
I really like it. The art style, it's the old John Blanche, isn't it? That sort of.
There we go. Come on.
This is the camera up there. Remember not to the image there.
Everything moves backwards, doesn't it? But great piece of art.
And when you're painting something like that, is if there's something new that you're trying on or trying to get an effect, there's a good chance that you might pick up a different model, a different object, something else that you can try out first before you put it on something that you want as well. Because I've seen a number if you're trying to do some flat work, you might shift it to something else, but it works in kind of the exact same way. Sometimes you might not do it the right thing the right time, so you choose to try it out first somewhere else.
Yeah,
something that isn't as.
For me, it's generally going to be the palette.
Mm.
You know, if it works on the palette, it'll work on the model. Because other than the shape, there should be no difference between your palette and model.
Yeah.
You know, and that's.
Yeah, because you can always make those effects on it anyway. You could literally just take it and go spray it and work from there.
You know what I mean? It's like, and to say that's not the case is like saying I couldn't write my name there and then write my name there. Well, I can.
Yeah, it's just different.
You just made it different in your head, and if you make it different and difficult in your head, it will be different and difficult. It really will.
What was the line there?
But that's a skill to practice in that.
There's nothing more dangerous than your thoughts unguarded, but nothing stronger.
Wow.
That's a power phrase off the Buddha.
That again comes into that's dualistic, isn't it?
But it's meant to be because it's
Buddha, because that's life.
Yeah, and it's basically if you can take the thoughts as your strength and like, if you let them, if we sat here for ages going, is this right? Is it wrong? Should we do this? Shouldn't we do this? Should I say this? Shouldn't I say this? Now you've got to take some aspect in going, what am I doing? What am I saying? And where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But if you sit there forever just pondering on, is this the right thing to do? Then you do nothing.
Yeah.
Apart from hate yourself. But the moment that you get stronger in your own mind and your own thoughts, how you go, which, to be fair, even in this one and however long this is through episode 2 or chapter 2, our minds are getting stronger or more anti-fragile, and that means that when something pushes against it, or we've got something more to say, or more to absorb, we're more aware of what's right, what's wrong, and the mental flexibility to deal with what we're discussing. And I think that applies as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's a good one, is maintaining the strength from thought and will.
Yeah, and absolutely doing something with it. I mean, it's this table, the new video, is an example of that. You know, we're seeking to improve. We want this to be a good experience for us and everyone else, and because you know, if this idea is self, at least that I have is true to form, then you know, I am you and you are me and we are every other bugger else.
Yeah.
You know, and which is why you should always be not necessarily nice to each other, but at least not drag each other down, because really you're just doing your own freaking head in.
Well, the idea is you give everyone the, one of a better word, the divine nature of the person.
Accepts them for who they are, which takes us right back to the last thing, which, you know, the more we spoke about acceptance and love last week, the more I'm happy that acceptance is the superior word.
Yeah.
The love has all sorts of expectations, flowers, chocolates, and bullshit.
And that's romance.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Because there's semantics in there, but one of the things that I get, and I think
really important.
I might have mentioned it last time as well, it annoys me about the choice of words, and we don't look at what the words mean. And sometimes people apply intent rather than take it apart. And it might be a little bit of stolen from Jordan Peterson in the sense of looking at the word specifically, what it means.
Yeah.
But I think we need to look at what certain words mean and where it comes from. Maybe not fully in the linguistic sense. Sometimes it's useful. But the difference there is what you described is romance. It's you're describing essentially a mating ritual.
without a doubt. But that's what some people call love.
Yeah.
You know, and that's unfortunately not necessarily what it is, because in some areas you could call that spoiling somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
Or
and that's
pointless, or ruining yourself, or like the opposite. That if you're buying chocolates and flowers for someone, they might be diabetic. They might be allergic to flowers.
Yeah.
They might be someone.
Some people might be allergic to actual love, believe it or not. There's times I think I have been. I've put myself some right horrible experiences due to fear of receiving, you know, like literally even accepting somebody's love, you know, that's maybe about my own self-esteem and whether I deserve something or not. But the point is it's definitely a mental habit that I need to come to terms with. And again, I'm glad it's come up in this actually, because it's part of the reason, part of my journey is that's the thing I want to fix.
Yeah.
Definitely want to delve into that. And
to actually be able to receive love, because that's one of the things that some people have a lot of difficulty with. Massively. Like, there's a stereotypical example, but it's still good nonetheless, which is when you compliment someone, then they refuse to accept it. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. There's no, and I'm thinking pretty much that sums up absolutely everything. There's loads of anecdotal situations where it's right, wrong, and so on and so forth. But the concept of refusing one when someone gives you a compliment and just refusing it plain out. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to bend over backwards for them or whatever, or any implication like that. But the denial of going, oh, well, you're actually doing quite well, is essentially what you're doing. Like, I quite like the way you look, I quite like your shoes, I quite like whatever this is. I think it's worthy enough to bring up in discussion to you.
Yeah, man.
Whether or not that's a friendly thing or in a romantic way, some people just don't want to accept that.
Yeah, or they want to find it offensive if it's not
something they want.
Fear-based, you know. So I'll give painting another analogy again. I struggled for a very, very, very long time. I still do. I just handle it a little different now. With taking compliments through painting, you know, and the fear is becoming arrogant or appearing arrogant, and I really, really, really endeavour in almost every aspect of my painting to not do that. And if I ever have done, then, you know, shit, I'll work on it some more. But at the same time, kind of can't help it if it does happen, because I do know how good I am. I do know how shit I am, blah blah. But what I've learned to say is whether I agree with them or not, what I say now is thank you.
Yeah.
And that's my responsibility, because it's all a gift, whether I like it or not.
Well,
I have to accept it. And
it
say
kind of
thank
goes
you.
to a story that, oh no, this is really annoying because I'm going to quote a story from a book by someone and I can't remember their name.
Zap it up on this.
Or you can one talk it, can't you?
Alright, go on.
Although it's not going to pop up on there, is it?
Is it not?
No.
Have we not got that set up?
I haven't set that up yet. Right.
I'll
While
let
I'm
you do that. What's that?
We are Beer Mat Down.
Beer Mat Down. Right.
It's the worst remake of Black Hawk Down ever. Although slightly safer than Mogadishu. Right. Well, actually, no, it is screen record. Oh no, it's camera recording, right. Let's see if we can do this. Right, so the story that I remember is based off, it was No, it wasn't window capture, was it? It was display capture. That was it.
Yay.
Memory. And let's see if we can put it right in the centre again.
Wow. Off to infinity.
We might have.
Yeah. Or is that because we actually had 2 screens, didn't we, last time?
Yeah, but this should work. But I can't. This is the point where we can't tell because it's going to swap over, and then we won't be able to see OBS, so we won't be able to know. So we're just going to have to
Leap of faith it.
trust it when it opens up. Either way, let's just trust it because either it's appearing or not. So in theory, it should be appearing here somewhere, which I really like. I don't care whatever is our method.
We could do a quick look though, can't we?
If you hold it over it, it's working. Did you see it flick really quickly?
Yeah.
And it's if we do it again, just
And
make
if
sure.
If I sit back, I'll
Yeah,
actually be
there we go.
in the screen as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I was looking at as well. So our head should sit in that gap.
But that's use of green screen, isn't it? Because if I go like that, my hand disappears. Whereas with green screen, you can go like that and still have a hand in.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and you want to actually find it and read it out. I've actually got some like that.
It's not a book quote. I just want to give credit to the author.
Oh right, okay.
Right.
In
I'm going to say because we need to put the Wi-Fi on if we're going to put this on.
That's alright. So yeah, just bring it up and I'll wang in.
I realised just one point that's all going to be shown. So let's.
Yeah, you have to start recording. Let them see it.
Not just move that out of the way for a moment.
Alright, so I in setting this up, and I've put some objects that are meaningful to me, while at the same time, put some things that are just blatantly nerdy as well, like the Game Boy.
That's not nerdy. My Game Boy that I got, the first one I got was that one, the old classic grey box. I got from my uncle, who found it when he was doing some work at someone's house, and they gave it to him, and that was how I got my first Game Boy.
Yeah.
Some games.
Like 1989, the Game Boy came out, something like that. I
Yeah.
remember. I was
It's
there
amazing
when
how
it
it's
began.
changed now, man.
Oh, mate, I love it.
I still love that one
I
with all the
sit-
gadgets.
I sit here. I mean, what have I got in at the moment? It's generally Mario World.
Yeah, that's it. That's
it
it.
is. And for those that like a little bit of nostalgia that are my age, here you go.
It might not actually show up properly unless you really hold it up because.
It's the
Remember-
music.
Did you ever? Yeah.
It gets stuck in my head. I'll have this in my head all night now. It cheers me up.
It's the classic one of actually the fact when you had all the different gadgets so you could see it at night with the
Yeah,
lights and all that
you have a
stuff.
magnifying glass,
Yeah.
a light on it.
Still didn't work at all.
No, actually, they were
They were
real shit.
They
Yeah.
were really terrible add-ons
But what you could do is, as far as I can remember, you could connect
to a printer.
different Game
That
Boys
was
as well.
That was the first way to basically take selfies. Was
Really?
connecting it to the thing. It had a printer. It was either that one or the Game Boy Advanced had one as well. Or was it? It didn't work.
Wow. What didn't work? The internet.
Yeah.
That's probably because it's dead crap and slow at the moment, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well, either way, the whole reason.
Well, just bring it up on your phone.
Oh, God, camera good. No, it's probably not turn up. Right.
Yeah, so I've actually got a quote here that I found randomly, and I figured it was absolutely relevant to kind of the things me and you were going through.
Suffer not the unclean to live.
I tell you what, it ain't far off. It ain't, in fact, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. And I wrote this when I was really, 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 really ill, and I knew that, there was going to be a little bit of a scrap on my hands. And I can't remember if it was before or after I went into surgery for the big operation. But check it out. It's by a guy called Ad Yashanti, who I think he's like an American Buddhist fella from however long ago. He doesn't sound American, he doesn't sound Buddhist, but I think he is. So anyway, it goes like this. If you prefer smoke over fire, then get up now and leave. For I do not intend to perfume your mind's clothing with more sooty knowledge. No, I have something else in mind. Today, I hold a flame in my left hand and a sword in my right. There will be no damage control today. For God is in a mood to plunder your riches and fling you nakedly into such breathtaking poverty that all will be left of you will be a tendency to shine. All sounds grim up to that point, doesn't it? So don't just sit around this flame, choking on your mind, for this is no campfire song to mindlessly mantra yourself to sleep with. Jump now into the space between thoughts and exit this dream before I burn the damn place down. I thought that was amazing when I first saw it, and I had to go into this book because this book was going to be, though it never actually became anything more than like a record of me diet and my health as I thought struggled through. Yeah. I didn't struggle through. That's the interesting thing. I absolutely thrived. Weirdly, I thrived because of the diet I did.
Yeah.
You know, which 2 recipes there, and that was that done. But I figured that I have in the book here as a reminder, as well, a place to take notes on what we're doing.
See, one of the things that I was watching the other day, and actually this was an idea that came up a day or so ago, maybe even yesterday, I can't remember, was actually, you know, the classic 40k grimdark quotes, everything you've been told is a lie, and stuff are not the unclean to live, which have got their biblical references. They're not far off the
truth, that's the thing.
I was actually thinking, if I tempted, we should produce a little mini book of our own versions of that. So like our own like mini sort of mantra quote sort of things, which might be an interesting one to produce over a period of time. Because I thought that would be quite interesting, even if they are grimdark. Because I think one of the joys about grimdark, and it's why Batman's so popular, knowing the fact is he's human. He does extraordinary things, and every time he faces gods, demons, people from wherever, okay, like he's just in Justice League alone, he's dealing with the Flash, Cyborg, who is essentially was human and now part machine, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Aquaman. Aquaman is as strong as whatever it can be, but like comparing to like Superman and Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman is a demigod, and Superman is a cheat, and
is a cheat.
And it's like, but every time he faces them, like even if you quote the one movie that everyone for some reason wants to absolutely hate, Batman vs Superman, I quite enjoyed that.
I find it really offensive.
Really?
Honestly, it was but carry on.
Right.
Whatever.
But I think nonetheless, the principle of Batman coming up with a plan to fight someone who's far too powerful. He found the weakness of him and went, I've got 5 chances to do this. Mm-hmm. That's all I've got.
Yep.
So I'm going to give it everything. And throughout it, he gets battered apart. Absolutely taken apart. But he went in full force and went for going with what his plan was.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you can say that he was brash and angry and absolutely everything else, at least he had the truth of his convictions to follow that through. Mm-hmm. And I think the important thing about Batman and all the things he gets, he always says that he's always got a plan to do something, which is what we should always have. If something thrown at you, you have an idea of what to do. And if that is, dare I say it, Batman's plan for, if I don't have a plan for that, is punch everything, which is a comic somewhere. Someone's made that joke about that one.
Wow.
And Batman's superpower is, of course, I'm Batman. But having a plan for
it. Are you saying then, because that's an interesting analogy to make. Are you saying then that it's better to have any plan, not just a good plan?
Sometimes having any plan is better than having no plan at all.
That's interesting, because so my plan now, like, because I kind of have applied a plan to my life, which kind of takes that into consideration. Again, brings us back to this. It's all the same difficulty kind of idea. My plan is first relax and calm, then observe, then make a decision. That's my plan for everything now, you know. And I've integrated that into my life. So like, you know, I interviewed for the heavy metal team however long ago, and that first interview cut me really deep, and it proper affected me for weeks. It hurt because of the nature of how that interview came to be, or that lack of interview, should I say, came to be. And it absolutely cut me and affected me for weeks, and parts of this experience are still lingering. But I have recently had another interview. I resolved to resolve these issues, and I really have done so. Literally, I got a second opportunity to apply. I did get an interview, and I didn't get the job. However, what I have got is calm. I'm alright. I don't care. I mean, I care that, you know, I want the job I want, but I tell you what, it is not affecting me. Mainly because I have put myself in a position where I can deal with it in a moderated manner, in a measured manner, in a maybe even mature and adult manner. Maybe I didn't do before, and regardless of how old I am.
You saw you could only gain from the situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, you know, I did gain from the situation. But I'd have only gained, and I did only gain because I calmed down, I assessed, weighed up what I had. You know, and went, actually, ready to rock and roll.
Like I said, just like Batman, like in the situation, doing nothing isn't going to solve anything. Sometimes having a bad plan.
Sometimes doing nothing does solve it. You know, because, you know.
Sometimes,
if you've got control. In order to calm down, sometimes nothing is like the best thing to do.
I think that's always one of them. I do agree 100% on the idea of calm, observe, act. Calm, observe, act.
Calm, observe, act.
And then I'd add an extra point to that one, stealing from another source, from Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, Extreme Ownership, which is prioritise and execute.
Well, yeah, do you know what? You had that addendum to it. I think I had one as well in my head as you were saying it, and I wouldn't calm, observe, and then take action. I'd say calm, observe, and then allow yourself to take action. So you don't ever really want to force anything. This is what I've learned. If your finger pushes the button, you are meant to push the button. This is the it Bruce Lee talks about at the beginning of Enter the Dragon. It hits all by itself. What hits all by itself? And it's an interesting. Comes back to that idea of self.
But then also,
what's the it? What's the self that decides when to punch? So if you think about punching something, you'll probably hit it like shit.
Yeah, but if you let
opportunity slide, then you also.
But we always know that if you actually have to punch with anger, with effect, you always punch harder than if you went punch me.
Yeah. Again,
because you overthink it.
Yeah.
You don't let.
Have you seen Enter the Dragon?
Years ago.
Alright, well that's a direct application from that. You know, he said, it's Lau's time. He says, right, Lau, kick me.
Yeah.
And he said, with meaning, not anger.
Yeah.
You need to kick with emotional content. I can't quote him exactly, but with meaning, not anger.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, it's not so long after that where Bruce Lee gets his own lesson from his own master in self, essentially, in it, whatever it is.
Well, it is the universe.
It. Yeah.
I think
that's very one-dimensional.
You're saying the universe and everything we understand is completely one-dimensional.
It's about duality, though, isn't it? Again, you know, so the entire universe to me, can only ever be seen by me.
Yeah.
So that's my universe, and you're part of that. But I'll never see your universe, even though it's the same place.
Yeah.
You know, so it's about context again. You need this self and other. You know. Well, they are maybe one and the same, but they still need to be.
The other always influences the self.
Yeah. So this it, it is me. I do the punch.
Yeah.
But what decides? What's the impetus behind it? Well, who knows?
Well, the bit that I was going at is because during a bunch of journeys over the last year, etc., I ended up thinking about religion, etc., and there's a lot of an argument about there's things to be taken from religion, there's bits to learn from it, and essentially, if you took it in a fundamental level, they're old folk stories. And
yeah.
If you took it into a simplistic level.
If you took it in, you might even call it a layman's term or something like that.
Yeah, and I think there's an element where there's some learning points that could be lost.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not talking about you must have this, you can't eat this, you can eat this, you can't do this, you can so on and so forth. Okay, we're not talking hard and fast, bang, no, you must obey. They were put into place for a whole number of different reasons, okay, which most people will have an idea of. For example, shellfish is a common one that most of the religions coming out of shouldn't eat shellfish, mainly because there was no refrigeration at the time and it went off really quickly. You get sick, you get diarrhea, you die. That's it, because diarrhea is deadly. It still is in certain parts of the world.
It's not fun, trust me.
And I was thinking about, it's very difficult to get a modern form of religion that isn't nuts. For example, what's the guy? It's Shoko in Japan. The guy who did the Assayan attacks.
What do you mean? What religion
cults.
Was that?
They form cults basically. So
Okay.
Scientology and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about religion in general, and this is something worthwhile, and combining the idea of what we understand about the universe at this current point in time, and then putting two together. Because everyone always brings this up, and it's a question that I normally get at my job at least some point every time I go to a school, which is a case of, what's your religion, or how can you bring Christianity, Catholicism, or whatever school I'm at, to science? Now, first of all, I'm going to say this really clearly, because people, once again, back to the monolith of science. Science is a tool. It's like a hammer. You can either use it for good, evil, and that's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Okay? Hammer and nail, hammerhead, there's not too many different actions. It's a tool in the sense that it is carrying out certain methodologies to find out some element of truth.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of truth that you can find out. Now, putting that all together is trying to then comprehend everything in the universe. And I kind of say, coming up with my own religion, maybe call it belief, whatever you want to go up, and connecting it back to things like Mesopotamia, back into the religion. There's a constant thing keeps on happening in pretty much all the religions, including Old Norse, etc., which is the triad. I don't mean the literal triads, but three. How did they end up in the Bible? I don't get it. Which they do, because there's three wise kings, there's the Holy Spirit, the Son, and God.
Yeah.
And then I sort of went, right, how do we apply this to the universe? Because that's essentially what we're working with. Our concept is the universe as a whole. And for those people who are, Scientologists is the wrong word, they stole that term, but science religionists, in the case of they're basically atheists, but then say that science is the answer to everything. But science doesn't give answers to meaning. It comes up with an idea of how things work.
Yeah, there's a lot of things science hasn't answered that religion very much does, and it all depends on your perspective of what religion is. I very much have a perspective that religion, again, is a tool in itself, very much like science. It's just one that we've either been misdirected or misunderstood. So for, for example, the void, if science was to be believed, then this is just matter. It's just stupid matter.
You get the men at goats.
And it ain't. I'm not, you're not.
Yeah.
So, consciousness, I suppose, is the word, isn't it? So,
but then once again we get to this stage of defining consciousness. And
exactly, and has science done that? As a tool?
To an extent. But then it's our perspective on consciousness.
Well, yeah, but the point is if you start dealing with perspectives, then you're not dealing with definitions, are you?
Yeah.
And given what perspective is infinite,
well,
then we've got a lot of work to do, haven't we? Or at least a lot of understanding of each other, which is a lesson, I suppose, an aspiration even. And
but then this was an argument made by someone that there's no such thing as objective truth.
What do you mean by that?
So objective is basically without any sort of bias on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, the way that we detect things and the way we deal with things is always limited by the fact that you're dealing with your fleshy body, I'm dealing with my fleshy body. So even if you're reading a number off a computer screen,
Yeah.
that's still subjected to how your eyes see it, how your mind comprehends those numbers.
Yeah, because some flat screens, and in fact, the Game Boy is a good example. You go like that, you'll see one thing. You go like that, you'll see another. And like,
Or what happens if a pixel isn't working properly?
yeah.
You might not see the decimal point.
Absolutely.
Now that's a thing, but we can't actually, everything is technically subjective. And the problem is some people then just instantly grab that and go, well then science is false, there can be no objective truth. Yeah, but if a lot of people believe it, then it becomes an effective truth rather than the truth, as in capital and everything. But when it came back to this, I was thinking about, right, how does that apply to like the universe and Big Bang? And then I was thinking of other religions as well. Well, every single one of these religions has a creation event that is also almost a catastrophe, essentially.
Yeah.
And they generally involve the splitting of something.
Uh-huh.
So they all, in some regard, whether or not, however this works, they seem to have a joining of the hive mind, which probably comes from the same stories because we all came from the same point.
What do you mean by hive mind? Like Godhead?
Convergent thoughts. So the idea...
Like Godhead or Akashic Records or...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean when I say Akashic Records and Godhead?
I think I've got the rough idea of
consciousness again.
That sort of concept.
The fact that God isn't just one guy, God is all of us, and the fact that my mind looks at you, like our minds are the same mind, we're just looking at each other, looking at itself from different points of view. You know, and the God essentially is in this nowhere forever, and he's just getting bored, so he's doing as much as he possibly can to not be bored, all the way from extreme suffering to extreme
No, actually,
rapture.
that's probably not as far away from my idea that I came up with, but not in the same real boredom. I wouldn't even describe it in that regard. But basically, the Big Bang was the catastrophe / Odin and his brothers killing the frost giant, I can't remember his full name, the largest frost giant, and then turning them into the world. We've got Mesopotamian myth where Marduk kills his mother, turns them into land, sea and sky.
Yeah.
It's the combination of
Horus
the earth dividing
Osiris.
into all of them. Right? They all have this combination of taking something as a whole, shattering it into multiple pieces to make something good from it.
Yep.
So that's the Big Bang.
You could look at that if the Big Bang ever gets proven. Yeah.
Well, it's a point that we can only look up to. So we'll call it the Big Bang or this big catastrophe, whatever it comes out with.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing, is you've got to... All the other religions that have been made have got what I describe as stone solid backgrounds of like, this cannot be wrong. But I think this is a concept will adjust as human consciousness adjusts, because it's meant to.
Yeah, it will do.
Yeah.
Assuming the right people stay in power, you know.
And the point of it is basically the universe divided itself into 3 separate things. And if you thought about it, even as an actual sci-fi book to start with, the way to see it is, if everything exists in one single place, and all matter, all energy, so the traditional Big Bang-esque situation, all matter, all energy, well that means there is no chaos, there is only order, there is only understanding. So basically God is omnipotent and all-being, all-knowing, and is all of the above. Is everywhere, because there is only there.
Because all energy in the universe ever is equally present at every point, at every time, everywhere, and every when.
So is matter.
Which is energy.
Yeah.
Because matter is made of energy. We've also just described God.
Yeah. And now, one of the old Jewish, you might know this as well, one of the old Jewish paradoxes is, what's the one thing God is without? Limitations. So imagine being all-knowing, all-powerful, and know absolutely everything. What's the one way you do that? You shout yourself into 3 different things. Or more, but let's take 3 in the simplest context.
I did a Facebook post about this years ago. I'm jumping the gun, apologies, and I might be assuming, but mental note.
Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't bring post-it notes.
Do it. That's about this.
And
a pen.
And so basically, force, energy, and matter.
Okay.
And
stay still. got to get it. Come on, like chimpanzees. A little bit of lemon.
Oh, is it lemon? It might have been
I hope it's
some
not
beard stuff.
chunk of...
No, it would be if it was anything else, it would be
No, it was
big
lemon
bomb.
enough to saw it fall out.
But yeah, the shattering into force, energy, matter, and from there basically going on the exact same path where it'll go, and all the forces, everything else interact with each other.
What's the difference between force and energy?
Energy creates a force. I'm going to get this wrong. I'm not.
Interesting. Because, I mean...
To put energy into an object will mean that there's force. But then applying force to something can then create energy. Well, not create energy, but...
So, I find that's a
transfer
fascinating
energy.
idea, because we spoke earlier on about this this self thing. You know, we've got matter, we've got our thoughts, we've got our mind, but then that still doesn't explain this self that makes those things. You know, who is the thinker behind your thoughts? Who makes the decisions that you think you're making? Which some people might sound like that's a strange thing, but you can observe your own thoughts.
Yes, you can put MRI and everything else.
And if you can observe your own thoughts, then you're not your thoughts. So who is the person that all this is happening to from the moment you're born?
Before
and
then,
probably
even
beyond.
before
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you are a creation of your mother and your grandmother and so on and so forth in an egg context, a maternal line.
Yeah.
But this is one of the things as well. Like I said, I can't remember how I described it to you. I'm going to describe it again. There's no such thing as random.
I'm very much inclined to agree with that. Yet at the same time, there's evidence that suggests that random and the unknown potentially kind of need to be there.
Well, we need to unknow, otherwise we end up becoming God.
In other words, you can't have random. You can't understand what random is unless you have order.
Yeah.
You can't understand what order is unless you know what random is. And that, you know, and that applies to everything. You don't know what tall is. If everything was tall, it'd all be the same height. Well, then it wouldn't be tall because it'd all be the same height.
Yes.
You need short shit in order to know what long shit is.
So
you
maybe
need big shit to know what small
have
shit
you
is.
ever thought about this is why God was the Big Bang? Because sitting there going, how can something be tall if it's short, if something else? Imagine having a conversation with yourself for infinite amount of time where you essentially just go, I don't know. There's a point where they go, I don't know.
Well, I actually don't believe, like personally, not because again, you might remember from chapter 1. I'm not an educated guy. All the shit that's coming out of my mouth is the contents of what I've been able to squeeze out of my adult life.
I still disagree with the idea of not being educated.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I blatantly am educated. That's something here using words and blah blah blah. So I'm not Tarzan, am I? You know. But
I love how that Tarzan speaks American.
What I mean, yeah.
The only contact with human life he has is a British person, and he speaks American.
So, so the way I look at life and organisms and the universe, I don't think that it was a big bang. I genuinely don't. And I think to me, the universe to me is donut shaped. You know, and it's constantly doing this as opposed to going like this.
I can understand that one, because one of the things that one of our largest subjective things that we apply to everything is that time is linear.
I'm not sure if it is.
No, that's what I'm saying. But sadly, we as humans only see time as linear. Or maybe we don't.
We're part of that spectrum of whatever this is.
Yeah, we're the string that basically stays that whole thing. We can move around the string as it rotates, maybe through linear, but it might be folding in on itself as well.
Well, I'll tell you why I think it's this way. Because...
You're hungry.
Well, that is part of the reason, right? No, like, literally, I know you might say, because I am always hungry generally, right? But it's because we are donut-shaped. Our outside is our inside.
Yeah.
Things go like this for
We're
us.
deuterosomes.
Same with our electromagnetic field, it goes like this. It's donut shaped. The planet is donut shaped.
I can see how you might be getting that one.
The sun is donut shaped. You look at an apple, it's donut shaped. You look at a pig, it's, you know, the energy in the process and the way everything moves through everything is donut shaped. And then you look at black holes.
So it's donuts all the way down.
And then you look at black holes and the idea of wormholes. Well, they're the same thing. They're going in
so
constantly.
What
then they must be feeding out somewhere else, which is still our universe.
Yeah.
Whether we perceive
so it's feeding into itself.
Yeah, constantly. And then you look at
like
the idea of the dragon. the world
Ouroboros,
that eats
there's
itself.
yeah.
Correct. You know what I mean?
Which
You
is
look at
another
this
continuous
idea
one,
again and again.
Dromedare.
Yeah, correct. So this idea that there was nothing then something, it's not. There's always nothing and something. Constantly going, constantly pulsing, and that's maybe the dance of the universe.
Or maybe, dare I say it, in the case of it's, maybe originally it was that change from order to chaos that
I'm back again. Which
no, it might be in the
still
case of, because in the centre of a donut, one of the ways you make a donut is you take out the centre.
okay.
So maybe the removal of God as like a plug hole, so to speak, and that caused the first movement to start the rotation. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm not sure. So I used to make donuts for a living. By the way, I mean like literally.
I think you mentioned
you've got the bit right there on your upper right tash whisker thing.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I used to make donuts for a living. I used to make jam and ring donuts, and you don't take the centre out. You produce it in one go. But,
Well, then,
you know.
Anyway, donuts all the way down, which also proves that red dwarf, the cat species, the donut ones were right when they go to Fushal.
What? I'm
Red Dwarf season 1.
Really? Oh, I couldn't even give that good a quote about Red Dwarf.
It was between the hot dogs or donuts they were going to sell, so they had different shaped hats.
Right, okay, why were they selling...
And Lister was
do
their
I need
god.
to watch this tonight? Is this homework?
It's homework now.
Okay, Red Dwarf season 1.
It's where Lister is actually God. By accident.
Really?
Because I don't want to explain the whole of Red Dwarf to you. You've never seen Red Dwarf?
No, I have seen Red Dwarf, I just don't remember that episode.
Well, you know, in the episode at the end, where he basically gets put in stasis, and the whole thing basically goes up due to a radiation leak.
Yeah, the first episode.
In the engineering decks, yeah. The cat that survived,
Yeah.
Frankenstein,
Yeah.
had babies, and then they turned into the race of cats.
Yeah.
Now, Cat's the only one left on Red Dwarf later on, but there was one more in season 1, an old guy who would go because they all left to go to the mythical place of Fushal,
Okay.
which is actually Fiji. And it's basically the cat mishearing, Frankenstein, mishearing about the Lister's plans when they go back to Earth. And then
got Fiji.
there was the schism of whether or not that they'll have hot dogs as the holy food or donuts, and there were holy wars about it. So it's completely ridiculous, but nonetheless still applies. Donuts all the way down.
Yeah, donut. I'm gonna state that somebody who struggled to convince me that the donut, me donut idea, isn't right. That you'd struggle because I just see it in everything.
It's a shame I can't get it out properly, and I can't remember where it is. It did appear in Joe Rogan, and someone explained it was mapping the Earth when you apply all the movements to it, and it comes out a weird shape, and some of it's donut-esque.
How?
It's basically because it's the way it moves throughout space and so forth. I need to find it.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's very, very, very interesting.
So we've decided donuts are the holy food.
Holy food?
No jam donuts.
No.
Unless they're in the inside of the ring.
I'll drink to that. Hey, do you like this? Because of the what we're doing.
Yeah.
We inquisitorial. We were asking.
I was thinking about the Inquisition.
Deliberately, thought that was a good idea.
One of my favourite things in 40k is the Inquisition. But I want to finish one thing on that before we talk about the Inquisition, etc. Was my idea of what prophets and revelations, sort of like these ideas came from, like even taking the burning bush and all that sort of nonsense.
Yeah.
What was if this case?
Cream for that.
And is so if we're dealing with this entity that is the universe that, like I said, I've been colloquially calling God.
Yeah.
What happens if it's going on with whatever thing's happening, and then suddenly went, oh, this is interesting. What's going on over here? Because it's got billions and billions of planets and so on and so forth. It's a bit like us going at the one time, going, oh, what's that? That's the Higgs boson or whatever. Okay, it's a little bit in the same regard. Maybe not in the same way because it's not the same as us. But the only way it can communicate with us is the idea of when it brings back force, matter, and energy together. Now, the burning bush is matter, energy and force.
Okay.
And that can make sound moving of sound waves and so on and so forth. But I think one of the funniest reasons that I came up with for why religions have always gone so wrong and all the messages have been sort of kind of wrong anyway goes back to the fact that we see things linear, but the universe might see it as donut shaped rather than non-linear. And because of that, it might think that one conversation is all conversations. So all these people that were essentially prophets and all this sort of stuff that saw things and epilepsy and all this sort of situations, because one of the things that you have when you have epilepsy is the feeling that, everything, the expansion of the universe, it seems to kind of make sense.
Really?
That's one thing I've heard. And
I have to have a look at that.
yeah, maybe there's a connection with that as a case of it's God trying to communicate. But it thinks that it's having one conversation with everything. Just like we do like the Large Hadron Collider and we look at the Higgs boson or whatever. Maybe it's having one conversation but isn't sure that it's all different.
Well, a lady, I can't remember where this question come from. I can't remember whether I read it online somewhere or a woman actually asked me in the street, some religious woman, and the question hit me quite profoundly. And she said, if you were everything that ever was, ever could be, ever, forever, what would you do? And it made me just go like, whoa.
You'd end up pissing about, wouldn't you?
And then you'd finally get bored. So then you'd piss out in ways that, you do all...
You'd become evil.
And then you'd get bored.
You become evil for someone being... Like, at first you'd probably end up becoming evil to someone who's immortal.
But you are already that someone because you are the possibility for anything and everything ever.
Yeah.
To manifest or unmanifest or whatever. So that person is you, is me, is you, is everything. But
that's why I kind of think that possibility that maybe the final thing they do, or one of the things they do, is actually not get involved.
Yeah, but the thing that it's not getting involved in is itself.
Yes.
Which is very interesting. Which, in other words, it goes, right, I'm so bored now that all this stuff I'm imagining, let's imagine that I'm not imagining it.
Yeah, it's the oxymoron of
absolutely. So
creation from apathy.
It's just trying to scare the shit out of itself, which is why what we might call evil exists.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting thought, which comes back to actually, it's just a game, innit? It's just a dance because we're just trying to scare the shit out of ourselves because it's funny.
That's why Schadenfreude exists.
Because you're so bored. That's very interesting. That. So here you go. In fact, this idea of three, another thought that popped into my head. Every object, or I can't freaking remember it now. Every object needs a context.
Yes.
To exist, but neither can exist without an observer.
Yeah.
Alright.
Because then each of the objects can communicate with a third party to then say that it actually is there.
So this rule of three kind of, and again, ever since I first started reading books on like Chinese philosophy, I decided that 3 is the
minimum number for
infinity, for everything ever. And so what I really found is every object needs
you got your little
needs a subject. Yeah, every object needs a subject and needs an observer, and therefore what that means is everything I see from the object to the subject and beyond into infinity exists because I am observing it, and also it exists for me because it would not be
Shall I
there
tell you what I quite like?
away.
Put out as he had it there. Shall I tell you the better one? And I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but nonetheless it's the
Can I
same
put the
principle.
Ice King in
Yeah,
instead?
that's what. But what I like as well is by putting in the third object, if it gets in the way, it now creates chaos. It creates an unknown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time
So,
to
what's
actually
behind
have
me there?
context,
That
you
makes
always
life
have an
exciting.
unknown.
Yeah.
So by having context at all, that means that you must have chaos and order because you understand part, but you can't understand that. And the moment you move to understand something, then something new has been hidden from your view.
Yeah. And that makes life interesting, exciting.
And that is what life is.
Potentially always a gift.
Yeah.
Woohoo. Right, we're done. We figured it all out. I'm going.
Well, it just brings us all back onto the Inquisition.
How so?
So, one of the major points of the Inquisition, I said, everything you've been told is a lie.
Yeah.
Which is the fact that still implies there's a hidden truth. Or not. Because it's a double meaning. Everything you have been told is a lie. Which, that statement alone is a lie.
Yeah.
It's a paradoxical
that
effect.
scene in Labyrinth with the... Oh,
There's a better way. You need to think like a D&D player barbarian for that.
Yeah, yes, you do.
One tells the truth, one tells a lie. I kill one of them. What? You can't do that. Listen, I know how to do this. It's fine. It's good. Barbarian kills one of them. Is he dead? No. He lies all the time. It's fine. It's great. It's the best way to do that.
I've never heard that. I think that's amazing.
It is perfectly acted out in the gamers. They do sort of D&D sort of story sort of thing, and they literally do this. And they have a guy called Glorian, which is basically a dumb paladin. He's the big stupid fighter, and he's put into the maze of the Temple of Unknown Horrors or Unquestionable Evil. I can't remember its name. And like the first room is like, how will you get the key from this poison chalice when the only way to do anything? And he just pulls the pillar out and knocks down the door. And he eventually gets to the stage. What's great is basically the person who's narrating the dungeon or whatever.
Simplicity is the key.
Yeah.
Because every answer to that other question, or one of them always lies, one of them always tells. In Labyrinth, it's a really convoluted, smart-ass freaking girl trying to say what's what.
Yeah.
And I also saw it in Samurai Jack with the two evil worms that pop up, which are really funny, by the way, if you've not seen that episode. Banana, that one, for those that know. And yeah, Jack also comes up with a clever answer, but unfortunately Samurai Jack gets eaten either way because they were just fucking with him. They were going, they weren't one of them.
But that's also true for life, is that sometimes that it doesn't matter what answer you get, you're wrong.
Yeah, because it all kind of doesn't matter, I think.
Yeah.
Again, that shady grey.
Which once again goes back to the Inquisition. Whatever your answer is, it's wrong.
Which actually takes into this idea that nihilism. Right, so why?
I've got really tired of it. I fucking hate nihilism.
Bother? I mean, but it's a question that's close to me at the moment because I'm running these ideas through my head, and all this. I can't unlearn any of this information. So if it's just as easy this what you might call shit end, if I judge this end, where I have no ambition, I don't need to get a job, I don't need to eat healthy because you're going to die at the end of it all anyway, blah blah blah, to this, well, let's make the most of it possible. Well,
what's the difference between the two?
It's just as hard to struggle with ill health, with a lack of money. It's a fucking struggle.
Yeah.
So it's a struggle to look after yourself. So where do you want to put your struggle? Where do you want to put your work? But you're fucking dead at the end of it all anyway. And this is going to end in suffering and fear.
It's suffering now compared to suffering in the future.
So it all starts to not matter. So,
I think the one thing that you have
where does our drive then come from? Because I have this drive for what you might call a better life, but a better life might just come from. First, let's relax, no matter where on this spectrum we are. The spectrum doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes egg, cup, book, flower, dog, fuck you, X, Y, Z, Ice King.
Now, actually, it's
that's what it is.
In the way that things always loop back around in donut shape, because that's our new thing now. Definitely keep it donut shaped.
Put bones on it.
Shouldn't we all be doing this?
Yeah, interesting.
Holy power.
In your talk representative of that.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. Is it the dragon that yoms itself?
I don't know about this one because it's not even.
Is it a dragon that? Is it a dog? It's a wolf, that one, isn't it? It's got
that one's a wolf.
That one's a dragon.
Yeah. But it actually brings me back down to the book I was talking about, The Social Leap, and I was going to tell you a story from it.
My face got a bit shiny on this.
Yeah. We'll have to work on makeup. That's
we'll get better lamps. I'll get some more. They're all like £4, and they've got a nice warm hue about them. We can
put them there or somewhere up there, maybe something up there.
Yeah, we'll see.
But the story, and I'm going to quote it, and the writer, the author who wrote the book, has got the most German name ever, and I love it. It's William von Hippel. Not pronounced like that, but nonetheless, that's the way it will be.
Willem von Hippel.
If you want to have a go at me, I don't care. If you want to contact me, awesome. So,
if people want to get pissy about any of that, they can do.
And there's a story in this, and it's about the evolution of happiness, because happiness is an evolutionary tool.
Okay.
Now, the story...
Not a state of being?
No.
Interesting. Why?
Well, happiness only exists as an evolutionary tool.
Okay.
It's based on hormones, and it's
so it's not a tool we create. It's a tool that's kind of already there.
Yeah, it's imposed on us, and it's appeared just as everything else,
but
just
not
like
sadness. Not a social construct.
Not a social construct, an actual evolutionary tool. Now, the way that you'll see this is for a little story, okay?
Yeah.
And we're going to choose two people many thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
But we're going to choose cavemen because that means we can understand that as a situation. So less than 6 million years ago. Okay, probably about 3. Now, what we have is we have 2 cavemen. Okay, they're in their little tribe and they're sitting there in their cave and they're going, right, I've got a plan. Right, brother to brother, so they've got a cave thing. They go, frag and crag. Brother to brother, they go, right, I've got a plan. I think we can kill a mastodon.
I think it's the call frag and crack.
You can call them whatever you want,
You know what that is, but it's cracking it, but whatever.
But Barney and Fred. Doesn't make any difference, right? You can choose one and 2.
Cool, wasn't he? Fred was a wanker.
Yeah. And which is quite an interesting one because technically Fred was smarter, supposedly, but Barney was happier.
Yeah. No one likes a smart ass, do they? You alright for what?
I'm alright. And
I'll go and get a for a little bit.
Basically, what happens? They go.
In part 2.
They think they can come up with a plan of how to actually kill a mastodon. Okay,
yeah.
A mastodon, for those people who don't know, not the band. They didn't exist back then, as far as I'm aware. And
time ain't linear, man.
And they essentially went. For those people who don't know what a mastodon is, it's basically a woolly mammoth that eats meat. It's a carnivorous woolly mammoth.
It's an old weird mammally dinosaur.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not a dinosaur.
But I knew you'd say that. I was going to say another thought. He won't. You did.
Because people will get confused.
Tell people what a dinosaur is. It's about the age where you are in prehistory. That's what makes a dinosaur. And then after that, which period you are.
And
Paleolithic, Cretaceous.
Well, it's probably closer to Paleolithic we're dealing with.
Well, whichever one you want to choose. There was lots of ages and different types of animals existed, and but it's easy to mix in any prehistoric animal and just call it a dinosaur, just for the sake of it being easy.
I still love the fact that we don't know if they were. Well, we know roughly that some might have had feathers because we've got now some fossilised with feathers. But the funny thing is, we don't have the fleshy remains. So there is the funny jokes that keep on going around of basically turning the T-Rex into basically a giant chicken.
Well, it's interesting because, you look at a lot of ancient Mayan myths, and they're gods and they're ancients. They're all feathered.
Big birds.
And
like Quetzalcoatl or whatever.
Quetzalcoatl, yeah. And then you've got
dragons as a pterodactyl.
Dragons, yeah. Ancient dragons from China. They were feathered, and there's all sorts of ancient feathered.
And they're
monsters.
kind of more snake-like.
Yeah, ancient winged motifs are always winged from feathers. Like the wings of Horus. Yeah. Is it anything like that? They're all winged. So yeah. So why not? Those things would be pretty effing terrifying to us.
Back to Fred and Barney.
Yeah.
And so they're going to go off and kill the mastodon. They're going to bring some of the rest of the men of the tribe to go do it. They've got a plan. Okay, it's a long trek because it's mostly an ice age, so they got to go across ice. Is it dangerous anyway? They are successful in killing the mastodon. Doesn't really matter how. They managed to do it, and only a few people die. Good.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they get back, they've got meat for however long, and they've got furs, and they've got bone, and they've got things they can use. And the tribe is really happy, really proud of them. They're really happy as well. Serotonin, dopamine going for the brain. They feel awesome.
And that makes them want to do it again.
Now we're going to see the difference, because this is the reason why I bring up 2 of them, not 1.
Okay.
So they would then be allowed closer to fire. They've then got better choice of mates, and they get the better choice of meats, which makes a real big difference because the development of the brain was partly due to eating certain parts of meat so it could grow larger, and cooking meat allowed us to basically spend less energy on actually digestion and more to actually use it in other parts.
Interesting.
Now,
is there any studies that show that?
I couldn't tell you where they are. They've done a few things on this.
I'd like to read more.
But then you can argue the point on, if you wanted to talk about the difference between our diets, for example, is the question, does it develop our brain on an individual level or is it over a massive period of time?
Well, I'll deal with that in another
But
thing. We seem to
the
be on
thing.
a pretty solid subjective for this one. So
If we take, once again, Fred and Barney in this situation, they got close to the fire because they were the ones who were successful, then they get the best choice of mates. Because
everyone wants to be mates with the best shit, don't they?
yeah, but also at the same time, I mean literal mates as well. So I mean, in the case of female.
Well,
Because dare I say, it's a female mating strategy as well. Men have sneaky fucker,
along and up.
which I could explain for you as well, which it's my favourite one.
Explain it.
The sneaky fucker, which is the actual biological term. So YouTube don't. We haven't monetised this, but nonetheless, I don't know how to do that. I'll find out.
It's just a button you click and you watch it.
But essentially, what that is while all the other males are doing all this and they're funky dancers, another male who isn't as
banging your wife
goes and sort of sneaks up to them and goes, "How you doing?" Cuttlefish do it in particular.
Yeah, I was about to say cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish is a great one.
Yeah,
you see the one where they show one side male, the other side female.
Yeah, and
that's absolutely brilliant. It's like, if you get away with it, it's great. Now, it's a lie and it's not productive, but nonetheless, it's still a technique. And so, basically in the situation, it is a mating strategy for females in the situation to choose someone who's got more worth. Because guess what? They're going to look after you.
Do you do vodka, by the way?
No. And basically someone more worth means you're going to get that as well, because they go, you can sit next to the fire, you can have the same food as well, and also your offspring are going to be better looked after because they've got more stuff to look after them. And respect to the tribe. So if the tribe respects you, that means they'll respect the offspring, which means they'll look after them. More people looking after my child, that seems like a good strategy. So it is a mating strategy.
It's almost like gravity, isn't it?
It's quite interesting when you break it down. We're always scared to look at humans as a biological organism, because we're worried about stepping on people's toes. But sometimes you just got to do it. And in this case, it seems detached because we're talking about cavemen, Fred and Barney. Now, the difference between Fred and Barney is after a couple of days, or even just a day or two, but after a reasonable amount of time, Fred decides that he's not happy anymore. And he goes, okay, well, his serotonin and dopamine dip down. He's not sad, but he comes to the point of going, I think we do two. Now, we did one. Like, we got them, we cut them off at the pass because we're practicing for the Wild West. And basically, we can get two. That's going to be
mastodons.
Two mastodons. I think we could kill or just kill another.
So
or kill two.
Barney's bored.
Barney, however, no, Fred. Which way do you want it? Do you want Fred or Barney?
You choose your.
Okay.
I'm
So
just trying to make sense of what you're saying.
Fred
is all great so far, by the way.
So Fred basically goes, I think we can kill more.
Who's the unhappy one? So you've
Barney.
Fred.
Fred is unhappy.
Fred is unhappy.
Barney, however, is pretty chuffed.
Yeah.
He's got a nice bit of fire. He's found a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. It's looking good. Okay. Got decent meat and so on and so forth. And so Fred decides, I'm going to go do this. And of course he talks to his wife and go, look, I think we can do it now. And if we went this way, do this way. Right, we won't lose Steve this time. Okay, we're not going to be let down.
Yeah, so...
Okay, so they're coming back.
That's outgoing, more incoming.
Yeah.
Happy.
Barney goes, that's fine, we killed the first mastodon. We're going to be fine for a long enough time. Fred goes, fine, I'm going to go do it anyway. And he takes the people who go, look, do you want to come with me? We can kill another one, okay? Some of the people who might not have gone out the first time now go, oh, well, they did it last time. I think we can do it again. And they go, and I believe in you. I'm going to fight. So he's got enough people, and so more people mean that they killed the second mastodon or three mastodon. Does make a difference. They bring them back and successful. The problem is this will keep on happening. Gets happier and then it drops. Then he goes, oh, maybe I can go up here. So Fred keeps on going for this up, down, up, down, up, down, and keeps on going a little bit further. He's always kept near the centre of the fire, and the tribe goes, keep this guy in charge. He's doing well. Now suddenly there's other mates looking and attracted to him as well, so maybe passes on that trait as well, not just to his wife. It could be there's lots of different things you look at in like polyamory back in tribal cultures and so on and so forth. But basically his offspring are more likely to survive, more likely to get on that, so they might have the same trait of this diminishing dopamine.
Missed a little bit there. I have, that is. So what you're saying is, Barney who's
happy all the time.
Yeah, who's happy all the time. And even though Fred's gone out to catch another 2 things, Barney's still the guy getting the credit because he's the
No, Fred has gone out and killed all the stuff, and he's getting the credit for it. But Barney, over this period of time, as while all this hunting's going on, and Fred is going up the hierarchy, so to speak, even if he was at the top before, he's pushing everyone else and he's bringing other people up.
Yeah.
By bringing other people up, well, what's happening to Barney? Barney's staying where he is, and everyone else is up, and he's down. So now he's around the outskirts. His offspring are not as well protected as they could be. He's further away from the fire, which makes him more vulnerable to animals. His mate's not that happy. His mate's gone, oh, maybe it's a good idea if we get a bit closer to your brother. Well, they're genetically similar, so he still cares about his offspring. So I'll move over to here and starts being more around Fred. So eventually what ends up happening is Barney will probably end up dying or not being as successful.
See, that is very interesting, and I see how you've related it now to this scale. You know, because it's not about you, is what you're saying. It's about the expansion and growth of the universe, and if you really want to experience this bit, it's probably going to end pretty fucking quick, pretty fucking shit.
People will let you, if you get ostracised, people will let it happen. Maybe not make it happen. Yeah. People aren't strictly, we go Solzhenitsyn, good and evil down the centre of a human's heart. But people let things happen to you.
Yeah.
Because you don't give anything to me. I was like, I want nothing to do with you.
I tell you what, the amount, when I was ill in hospital and I experienced this, and some family members might not like to hear this, and some friends might not like to hear this, but people really showed who was willing to be there for me in my downfall, whether that be professionally, whether that be on a friend-to-friend basis or a family basis. The people that cared and showed up to care were very few.
Yeah.
And the rest, not. I shouldn't be going into this. I'm trying to highlight the point that yes, people will let bad things happen to you.
Yeah, it's not that they mean to do it. It's
your responsibility. That's just the way things are. Yeah, absolutely.
Dare I say, in their kind of slightly selfish way, etc. But it's a biological thing. Yeah. Of they've got to look after their unit.
That's very interesting. That's an interesting.
So
actually, that's a lesson.
What the real lesson is at the end of that is, I would like you to be moderately happy. Because if you're too happy, you end up like Barney. You die. Because he was happy all the time. He wasn't sad. He was happy all the time.
So it's the difference between happiness and satisfaction.
Yeah. So he was happy and satisfied with what he
had.
Now Fred, however, went up and down. He was moderately happy.
He was
more happy than sad.
Happy, dissatisfied. Happy, dissatisfied. Yes. So dissatisfaction is the jewel in the...
he never dropped into sad.
Right.
Or he probably did because that's life, but that's not the...
Yeah.
However, I'd also say the other one is true as well. So you've got constantly happy / satisfied. So as in constantly happy, constantly satisfied, doesn't matter. You always live on your past victories.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you've got Fred, who's going up and down, like happy, satisfied, but he fluctuates. And then you've got the people at the bottom. And the people at the bottom who are normally a case of aren't happy, aren't satisfied with it all, but aren't doing anything about it. Yeah. Now that can be for multiple different reasons.
Yeah.
And those are the people that are going to struggle. So I don't ever want you to be constantly happy, constantly satisfied, and I don't want you to never experience it whatsoever.
Yeah.
You want to be that bit where you tangle with it, isn't it? It's a free. It's a concept. Top, bottom, middle.
Look at me painting lesson, eh? Look at me painting lesson. 3 consistencies, 3 types of brushstroke, 3 types of way of dealing with layers, 3 explanations of what the palette are and blah blah.
And
blah.
it's nice in written form. When you write a sort of list, it's...
Mate, this is... I have tried to break this.
And also, do you want another breaking one as well? Yeah, we're just going to go through a few different things like ABC. 1, 2, 3.
Alright, okay.
You see, like our natural own language and development goes into a case of 3.
Interesting.
And even the smallest family group is 3.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be. Yeah. But that, again, it does always come down to that philosophical thing of subject, context, observer.
Yeah.
You need both. You need need both.
Well, you need all three to take part, because even if
all
you remove
three,
one
sorry,
of them,
Yeah, I don't know why I said both.
because you're thinking about the
Because my brain was
both
being
subjects and
stupid.
then the observer.
Because I need a pee. I think that's what it is. I
Well, you
need
can
a pee.
rotate. You could go.
I need a pee and I'm slightly chilly. That's why I turned the heating up a little bit. So I don't know why I'm slightly chilly. Might be. I don't feel hungry. Normally I get cold, even though it's not cold if I've not eaten a lot.
Yeah.
And I've not eaten a lot today. So yeah, when I think about it, I've had a bit of sushi. I've had a couple of nanas this morning. I've had a load of toast. You know, so not. I've not had me high calorie packed meal.
Yeah, I've had half
did-
my food
Oh,
today
okay.
so far. So
But I did eat before this,
Yeah.
in the hope that we wouldn't have to create a part 1 and part 2.
no, I don't
No.
think we need that one. I'm still even wondering if we'll have that first part. I'll see how it works out.
Alright, because I'm still happy to have a break and have a part 1, part 2 for this. You know.
I don't mind. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
have
It takes
a
me
break.
10 seconds to sort out basically, and then
Alright,
shift
cool.
out.
So,
It's
so
not-
we don't mind. We can. Have
Yeah,
food, we
it's
can
fine.
chill out. And, nice one. That's alright then.
Although I did want to think about the Inquisition, right? There was a writing
Go on.
competition for the Black Library.
Yeah. How long
um,
ago?
Sadly, it didn't go too well for me. I was neutral, so I didn't get in. But it's like, there's always one story that, like I said, I do like the Inquisition as a general whole, because they are almost the most grimdark part of the grimdark universe in a regard. Because everyone is a suspect, everyone is guilty. I've just got to decide when you're guilty or not. Now,
Would you say Eisenhower isn't like that? Is he?
I failed you in the case that I haven't got round to it properly.
You just said you've not read Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Holy shitballs!
There's-
Mate, it's
No, there's part of the reason why I kind of don't want to, and you'll see why. Because I came up with an
Really?
interesting story idea. You know that the Games Workshop came out with their fantasy children's stories?
recently.
Yeah. And I thought of one of these.
Billy Piper and what's his face? Doctor Who.
Billy Piper and Doctor Who. Oh, David Tennant.
David Tennant. They're reading now for
Yeah.
Black Library. That's amazing, that isn't it? And they're reading them stories.
Well, massive. You've got to remember how big it is sometimes.
Yeah.
But one of the stories that I came up with it, and it was kind of the one that I sort of was tempted. How do you make 40k grimdark for children? And not really young children, but it's the idea of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the one I went to,
How do you explain space Nazis in a safe and productive manner?
and I was kind of thinking about what I describe as a transition book. So not the children's stories that they're doing, which is fine, but a transition book for that time when you go, this is 40k what it really is. You've just seen what we've told you. And you could start it with everything you've been told is a lie. Because that would be a great one. Now, not only just the Inquisition, if you follow my story, and I'll give you the short rundown, you could have those characters. You could introduce a new character, and it's quite simple. Okay, you have your High Lord Inquisitor, well, not High Lord Inquisitor, but Lord Inquisitor, who's training up someone from the. I'm going to fail here, and my note card's going to have to be taken away. Is the scholar thing where the stormtroopers are trained and where the Inquisitors are originally trained and they get their training. So you have a young Inquisitor, you have an Acolyte Inquisitor, ready in training by...
Yeah, they're called interrogators.
No, they're actually separate,
Okay.
as far as I'm aware. Interrogating
You'd be
Inquisitors are
surprised.
separate.
Go on.
But I might be...
Yeah.
I think it's more convoluted than it can be. But basically the whole point of it is essentially they use these young characters, whether or not you use the ones for, but you use a young character, a teenage character or whatever, can infiltrate, say, a hive, a governor, or so on and so forth, because they can then act as a young noble, because they've had training to deal with this sort of thing, and infiltrate to see where this chaos, because Hereticus is quite an interesting one nonetheless, where a chaos cult has been seen to appear. And go throughout the whole exercise. It comes down to the governor is actually doing it because he's trying to feed their people. So they made basically a deal with cultists, etc., because they could bring food in and look after the hive. So the governor was doing it by all good intentions, and got co-op, etc. And it came down to the young Inquisitor to decide whether or not to summarily execute the governor, and they didn't. Now, you have all the characters that they've got put in place before, and of course they eventually, for their debrief, they get brought up to the planet and they go, look, this is what we've done. After their debrief, during their debrief, as they're walking through whatever ship it is, probably some sort of escort class because you wouldn't have any sort of cruiser, so say a sword or something along those lines, or Cobra. And I would say a Cobra because we need torpedoes now. And
we need torpedoes.
we'll see why.
Okay.
And
right.
so you've got your number of different characters. You've got your Imperial Guardsman. You've got your Mechanicum. You've got your all these sort of characters that are in there, right? And you've got your Psyker, okay, which are essentially the major characters in their one. Okay, so the Inquisitor is basically walking from the hangar bay, from being debriefed, etc., as like report and completely cold, walking up to the bridge, and goes up to the bridge. While this is happening, all the other characters, of course, they're not going to be privy to the Inquisitor's debrief. That's not their place. They're taken to all their different other places. The Imperial Guardsman / gunner, so to speak, is taken to the weapon systems. The Mechanicum is then taken down to the torpedo bay. The Psycho is taken to one of the psychic ways with their own navigator / their own trainer, etc., because you don't leave Psychos walking around by themselves.
Yeah, they'll either be used as communicators or, I mean, some might say navigators, but that's a different genetic thing going on.
Possible.
But whatever. They're
taken to a place, right?
And they wouldn't be sanctioned freedom necessarily.
And essentially it gets to the stage where it finally gets onto the bridge. And the Inquisitor literally just goes, no, empty the bridge. That's what it is. Or an observation point, either one. And after the debrief and absolutely everything goes, the Inquisitor there's one button in front of them. And they're standing in front of this console. And the Lord Inquisitor goes, you know what you have to do. And then they're suddenly introduced the moment of, why didn't you execute him? Or her, the governor. Why did you not? They are a cultist, they are a heretic, and they went against the Imperium. The Emperor protects, and you did not do it. And the turnaround is, but they were trying to save their people. The Emperor protects. And shall I tell you what you've done? Turn around and walking through the hangar bays, there should have been crates and crates and crates of food and stacks of that. It's like, you as one person decided that it's worth saving that heretic because they thought they were doing the right thing. They embraced chaos. Because of that, the hive must die. Because you have tainted it all. If you had done your job and executed the head of the snake, we could have saved the rest. And the button is to fire the torpedo, to fire to destroy the hive. To understand, even not in full extermination, to destroy the hive is to understand that you, the Emperor protects, he has the right action, and you could have saved every single person on that hive, but you did not follow your training. You did not follow the right thing to do.
Idea. That's you will love Eisenhower. That's all I have to say about
and
that.
so the Mechanicum, and
you will love Eisenhower.
During this period of time when they're about to push the button, and it is kind of, there's the stipulation where the Junior Inquisitor literally is either going to do this, or the Lord Inquisitor is just literally just going, not actually taking any weapon out because they're pretty confident, is literally the whole ominence is, if you don't push that button, I'm just going to take the pistol and I'm going to shoot you. And it's the whole idea is, you will do it, or the Emperor will protect.
Interesting. I really like that.
And during the other characters during this time, I said the Mechanicum's going to the bay and they've got to help load the torpedo because they let this happen. The Imperial Guardsman has to aim it. And the Psyker has to experience, like, can we ensure what the government is?
Do you still have a copy of this book?
No, this is one I was going to write. I don't think I actually wrote it out. I was going to.
Write it. I would write that. I say I would write it. There's lots of things that I say I should write and I haven't, so maybe I wouldn't write it.
I haven't got round to doing my experiment yet with the speech. Yeah,
what's that?
Using a microphone as speech to text.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I really like the idea of that because that's like very much a Dan Abnett kind of writing. And
I think it would be a good way to, like I said, a transition book of understand, though this is actually what the universe is. You've had this, and it's not Slaneshi grim dark, if you get what I mean. And it's not thrown into that one. It's understanding what the position.
Messed around with too much, I believe.
I don't know what they've got to at this point in time with that because it's all a little bit. I remember one time when I applied for, it was actually DW Manchester.
Yeah.
I applied for a job at one point, and the question was, how would you describe Slanesh to a parent? And I thought It's a really cool question. I like it as a question because it's a get.
It's a little bit cruel because everyone's generally stuck on the sex side of it all.
I said it was about desire and
it's about
passion
access and
and-
experience is what it is, you know, and about experiencing things as much as possible. So look at these guys that really enjoy music.
I love Sonic Marines. They're one of the best things I love in 40k. It's just like, what you got? We've got Sonic weapons.
How good was the new one?
Wasn't it the exact same as the old one?
Not exactly.
Oh no, it was taller, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
Primaris,
I
wasn't
mean, yeah, it is the exact same, but it's just been brought up to date and modernised. You know, well, modernised is brought to, but whatever. You know, it's been.
Have you seen the picture? I don't know if you posted this. Have you seen the picture of you know, the 10 years ago? How did puberty hit you 10 years ago and now? And they did one for Marnius Calgar, and then underneath it they did 10 pictures now for Abaddon. It's the same picture.
Abaddon.
Please GW, do something with Abaddon. Especially as well in the Horus Heresy books, he's so good because it's like, of all the things you get, it's like, oh well, you characterise the Primarchs, etc. It's like, no, the big bad in 40k, and you've got him, and he's actually not. I wouldn't describe him as bad or good or anything like that. He just seems very.
You mean the
He's
model?
pragmatic. No, the character.
Right, I got you. Yeah.
Right, he's pragmatic in the sense of it. And
Has Abaddon? I mean, obviously, you're not including Forge World models because Abaddon's got his own model in Forge World,
he
hasn't
might do.
So there should at least be 2 models for Abaddon.
Yeah,
But
I'm
I get
talking
the
an
joke.
official GW one.
I get the joke without a shadow of a doubt. I get. So did the first Marnius Calgar have the Sat on the Bog one?
Oh,
Is that
no,
the
it wasn't.
picture?
No, it wasn't that one. It was the
Really?
old one. It was
Right.
It was party time.
Yeah.
I still love the fact that
I
they
love
turned him
that.
into Primaris Marines. He turned. He
Yeah,
got the.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a very smart move from Games Workshop. Whether
It was inevitable.
whether you like it or not, True Scale Marines really needed to come in. And how do you bring in True Scale Marines without scrapping your entire 70% of everything you do?
I think that's part
And
of
you
you where.
don't. You need to,
Yeah, you can't.
you
But,
need to bring them in bit by bit by
but
bit.
then you're
by
going to have
bit.
to do the other one, aren't you?
What-
and it's
what
just
do you
like.
mean?
Well, then you are going to scrap your. They've now. The problem is, it's now created the other issue, which is the case of.
Yeah, the old Marines have got to die.
Yeah,
And let's enjoy the story. But yeah,
I think the one
ultimately-
sad thing that I seem to be getting from the Primaris Marines, and maybe it's in their big story, I don't know, is the one thing I disliked about the Primaris Marines isn't their true scale and so forth. I like the friction between the two as the concept. But why are the Blood Angel ones always suffering with the idea of that they're struggling even more with the...
I don't know that part of the
Because we
background.
don't even see the... Like, it seems like that they cured the major problems with the chapters. The legions even. So like the Black Rage, the Space Wolf, the Wolfen, which they ruined anyway, and I don't care, GW. Hear me now, you ruined it.
Why?
Originally, Mark of the Wolfen,
Yeah.
okay, Wolfen, there's the reason why there's the phrase there's no walls on Fenris.
Yeah.
Because all those massive actual Fenris walls were failed space walls.
Yeah.
Now, they're furries.
What?
For some reason, they've got power armor with no shoulder pads because.
Yeah, they're transitioning though.
Yeah, but they shouldn't though, because they failed. In the original books of the Ragnar Blackmane books, which is one of the sort of major sort of sources, those people who failed at it went.
No, because the original Wolfen, from what I remember, were part of the 13th
The
Legion.
13th, yeah.
And they obviously weren't part of any kind of sanctioned activity within Space Wolves. They were left to do their own thing.
That was a way to counter mutation.
And then when they came back, the Space Wolves were like, whoa, what's going on here? You really kind of shouldn't be here, let's do you in. And then, hang on a minute, these guys are actually loyal and really useful.
Yeah.
And that's why they're part of it all now.
But then I'm not really too sure.
Furries. It's not like some geek in some frigging sweaty nerd shop wearing a tail and a set of ears thinking he's a different frigging gender than everyone else. Because that's not what...
I don't know about transgender furries. I know furries don't have to be fit, but let's not touch on that one.
Yeah, well...
You need to wash your hands afterwards. And
yeah.
I've been with Promethium.
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 Right. Yeah,
but
I don't even think it's that dirty a subject.
I don't.
It's
It's not worth talking about.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
And but I do dislike the whole. Chris Webb.
Yeah.
And you know that he made the joke when like the Space Wolves like riding Space Wolves, and that the Blood Angels will be riding bats at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what the Space Wolves did actually turn into.
yeah.
He was bang on the money. Was like, why does Logan Grindar have a mobility scooter pulled by wolves?
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting take on a model. That I must admit.
I was like,
it was.
Don't get me wrong. It's your intellectual property. You can do whatever you want with it.
It's not mine. I'm only kidding.
Theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, that's the honest truth. It doesn't really matter. I am one person who doesn't play it really much anymore, although I still like the lore.
Well, we're all allowed our opinions. We're all allowed to like what we like. And that's just that, isn't it?
And actually, the actual correct answer they give back to me is there's no one saying that you have to deploy Lone Gridner on mobility scooter pulled by wolves.
No,
you can play old school.
Or you could just deploy them on foot.
Terminator armor like a real man.
Yeah, because the model can come out of that.
I still want to see what happens to Dante.
Why?
Because he's the oldest Space Marine.
Oh, you want to know if he... well, I'm excited to see what's going to happen to all Space Marines, and I'm almost in two minds whether I should do a Ragnar in Primaris armour before Games Workshop do.
And see if you can make it better or
Well,
predict
I'm
it.
not sure if it's like that. It's just that I want to get my ideas out clean from me.
Before it's infected
Before,
by...
not infected, but inspired
fluids.
by... Yeah, exactly. But then I wouldn't have to. I wouldn't get the pleasure to create my own Ragnar because I wouldn't have to. Like, am I going to make an Ulrich, the Slayer?
Yeah.
No. You know, he's there, he's built, he's undercoated, he's ready to paint for my army. But I'm not going to make my own Ulrich. I might do what Darren Laven did and swap the heads around so he's wearing the helmet.
Yeah.
But I probably won't.
Oh, is that... There's a new model not wearing a helmet?
No, there isn't one wearing a helmet. He just want to be converted.
That was the coolest thing about him.
I can't remember what they put in this hand, but the point is it's a great pleasure for me to do that. So like when I did my rehash of Mephiston, one of my favourite models I've ever done. I wish I owned
I do love
it,
Mephiston
actually.
as well.
My one. I mean,
I can't remember your one. I might be after it's over there somewhere probably as well.
no, because it was a commission.
So
So I've done 2 Mephiston conversions and try to bring them up to date. And the second one I did, I think, for me, I think I nailed it to the point where if I want to keep my own model, then I nailed it, and I still want to keep it. But I had to go off to the customer.
I like Mephiston as a character anyway.
It's a real pleasure, and it is a challenge bringing something like that up to date without making it look shit. It's got to look like Games Workshop intended it. So when I do
which is these massive collar, basically a form of sort of weird sort of Dracula and power armour.
I don't mean the archetype of who Mephiston is, because anyone can do that, but can you do it well?
Yeah,
no,
that's true.
If you were to look at one of my conversions, I want you to say, oh wow, is that the latest version of that model?
Yeah.
And I
you want it to fit instantly in the range.
Yeah, instantly. And I don't want people to say, oh, good conversion. Yeah. It can't look like, it's got to look like, where, what? Oh, yeah.
You want someone to go, is that a limited edition model?
And yeah, absolutely not be able to see.
Not a conversion, but like,
I mean,
where did you get that from?
Yeah, correct, yeah. I mean, it can become apparent after however many seconds of looking at it.
There's a skill that you get eventually over a long life model. You go, I know that bolt pistol. I know where that's from.
Yeah. So it can't look like a conversion. It can't look like I've tried to do Ragnar.
Make it look different.
I've got to done Ragnar. You've just got to look at there's Ragnar. You know, and I think I nailed it with Ragnar, and I think I nailed it with.
Because that's in there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Ragnar.
Well, so I tell you what,
Mephiston.
So tell you one of the things I quite like about your Ragnar, and just look at it now as with fresh eyes, 'cause I haven't seen it in a while, and I don't think I've seen it in flesh by Trey. Is one of the things that I particularly like about it is the fact that you kept the pose, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Ragnar was a flat character. He was this.
He was.
That, yeah.
It was just that.
And I think he was either up or down. I can't remember which one it is.
No, both up.
Both up.
Both up.
And what essentially
not entirely a great
you've
idea
done
to do.
is you put it onto the 3D and make him look like he's doing something.
Yeah.
he looks like he's shooting at someone while he's screaming at Bloodclaws to charge.
Yeah.
And the way you've also done that very nicely about giving it looks like he's running down hill without running.
Well, to me, he's planted his foot here. That's what I see. He's planted his foot. He's looking. He's supporting himself. He's standing firmly on this pile. And he's blasting whatever's creating all this gore here. But at the end of the day, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, innit? And so you see the story you want to see, and now as long as you're seeing the story, so this is the key to a good model for those that are into that sort of stuff. The key to creating a good model is to make you see the story, though you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's to make you ask the question, oh, what's going on? Oh, it could be this, it could be that.
And to even make your own story. But
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of asking the same question in a different way, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, and they're two very different things. And as a painter, and this is real great advice if you're a nerd or you're into art, you've got to make people ask that question, what's going on, in the right way. You've got, oh, what's going on? It could be this, it could be this, it could be that. And then you've got, what the fuck's going on? Does he mean this? Does he mean that? One, you failed.
You want the situation where someone goes and looks confident, I think this person's doing this, or this thing's doing this. Whether or not that's what you want, it doesn't matter, because once you make the art piece, it's for whoever's looking at it decides what's happening with it.
And if they decide, if it captures and starts to kindle the imagination, then you've nailed it.
You don't want uncertainty.
Correct.
Well,
it's not.
You don't want
that's the thing. It's uncertainty.
No, well, it's not uncertainty. You don't want the person who's observing it to be uncertain by what they think it is. Whether or not they think it's a piece of crap, or it's amazing, or what the story is, you would rather them be going, that's a piece of shit because of this. And it's like, I want you to know that. And actually, if you think that, somehow tell me it. Be able to tell me what the story is behind this, what you think it is.
I'll give you an opposite example, because last year when I was at Salute, so I'm a judge at Salute, which is a national painting competition.
That's got to be fun because you get lots of different models.
It's the next one's coming up soon as well. So this one of the people who had entered was a girl, and she said, "Will you give me feedback on my piece?" And I used her arm on this model, the arm that. On the model that she painted as an example. So this guy was wearing a jacket and a shirt and whatever, and he had a cleaver in this and blah blah blah. And there was a hole in the jacket.
Yeah.
And the jacket was purple and the hole was purple. And I asked the question, I said, what's that under his jacket? And she said, I said, so you're unsure. And is it the lining of his jacket?
Which would be slightly off colour.
Yeah, exactly. So all of a sudden, this hole has made me ask, what's she intending here, or has she just overlooked something?
Yeah.
Now there is an opportunity. It's just a hole in the jacket, but there's an opportunity to tell a story about what that guy's wearing,
or what's
what
happening.
It's made out of, or what's happening. You know, is it a hole? Is it a fresh hole? Could it have a bit of blood in it? Could it go straight through the skin? Could it, and so many little options just from a hole that actually you could excite me with.
Phrasing.
Yeah. And
but I'm talking about your phrasing right now.
All right.
I'm talking about holes that you can stand us. Lots of opportunities.
Donut shape. So, I tell you what, you've just made me realise. I'm gonna come right back to donut shape.
Yeah, why not?
And maybe bring in a little bit of Games Workshop.
Chapter 2, otherwise known Donut.
The eye.
Young of Horus.
The eye of anything.
Yeah.
The eye. Donut. With a hole in it.
Well, arguably, it's two donuts in a donut.
I just mean, just general. The very basic.
The iris,
The very basic of an eye is a circle with a dot in the middle.
Or when you're painting an eye anyway, it's sometimes if you can do it just a circle, depending on whatever.
Well, depending on whatever. If you just really want to make a very basic. Here's the eye. Well, it's also kind of the universe. It's also an atom. It's also a cell. It's also a. It's
stomata.
It's also the seed in an apple. It's also the core of a planet. It's also the sun in the solar system. The
It's a Detrosome as it's been.
Cluster of everything in the middle of the galaxy.
It's a blastocyst.
It's whatever you need it to be. That's very interesting, and that in itself is abstract of a donut, or some people might call it a torus. Torus. Torus.
Do you know what?
And that is, if you look at the yin yang symbol, and if you imagine the yin yang symbol actually is a ball, and you turn that ball, so the black dots and everything line up, you get a donut again there. So I saw a video once that. But again, it's donuts.
Yes.
Wow. And the reason I call it a Games Workshop thing is because if you know in Prospero Burns, they use the symbol of the eye all the time. Whether the eye of Magnus or a circumpunct as an eye of warding, which, believe it or not,
well, it's also
I actually have everything set up in my house.
Yeah.
The eyes face particular ways for very particular reasons.
Well, there's also the fact of the Eye of Horus, literally, and things like the fact that he knows something that other people don't, and that's why he went against the Emperor, because he knows something that others don't.
Interesting. So what brings me back again to this eye idea, and the fact that maybe the universe and blah blah blah. Well, that's what kind of God, if you want to say God in the Godhead or the collective consciousness or the hive mind or whatever you want to call it. Basically, all it is trying to do is observe as much as possible, because
so it's looking in on itself.
So it has to be an eye, and I think that's an amazing little douche for
do you want
tightens everything up for me.
Do you want an interesting one of the 40k one?
Go on.
I think Horus is arguably the good guy.
Well,
because he provides meaning to the 40k universe. Because what happens? Think about it this way. Let's say that the whole Horus Heresy never occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So everything stayed organised, the Legion stayed there, they followed the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's Elder gone.
Yep.
That's Tau.
Oh, right. Yeah, I see
Tau had gone in like... there's a small sector in the segmentum solar, as the Infinity Stone, and orbital bombardment.
Yeah.
The Dias Aries just comes down and goes, communist this.
That's very interesting.
Now,
that's fat on you then, sorry.
Even
that's
then, the
orcs
would be devastated once again. And even then, the Tyranids come. What are the Tyranids going to do against the combined army of 20 legions of fully trained veteran Space Marines with the full combined force that had never been damaged of Titans, now all with the technology, space and worlds of Tau and everything else?
That's a bomb.
So it was Horus.
Saved the galaxy.
Who saved diversity. So Horus is but
I tell you what, I'm going
and
for
he's the chaos.
I am going for a piss on that note. That's blown my mind. That's two things there.
Horus is the good guy.
Wow. I'm
and
yourself, by the way, with the ball gun now. Wow.
And
carry on.
Sometimes you need that monster to be the good guy. He's, in a biblical sense, he's the Judas of the Imperium. Because he was the favoured son of, or favourite follower of Emperor, who's Jesus. And arguably God as well, because he is both God and the Father at the same time. And Horus had to fail. Horus had to fail so that the universe had something to work for, to actually give the universe meaning. Otherwise, it won't just be a case of anything else. There'll only be humans. There'll only be the Imperium of mankind. And by Horus actually making confronting mankind, it's mankind fighting itself. It's a replication of what we do every day. But he provides chaos, literally, in against order.
Chaos being diversity.
Now, what Horus actually probably intended to do is actually to make the Imperium stronger than it ever was. And underneath the rotting order that is the all-powerful patriarchal father of the Emperor,
crazy niceties.
Horus was basically the liberator.
Yeah.
Now people, they took it the different ways, this is why I was going to write up a series of what could we learn from all the Primarchs, their downfall and creation.
I thought about bringing up our Primarch analysis here, but
we'll talk about that for
another one.
But if we go down that one, like Lorgar.
Go on. Gorgar.
Lorgar.
Oh, Lorgar, yeah.
Turning to the books and being so kind of basically praising his father so much that he then ends up being disgraced by it.
Been there.
Because essentially he's the person like, oh, father's amazing, father's amazing, father's amazing. And the Emperor turns around and actually does something that a leader should do at some point, which is say, no, I'm not. I'm not this divine. I am fallible. I am something in control, and that's why you must follow me in the example. And then when your world is shaken, where your God is basically, and your divine being, your father, that you say is the most amazing thing, has failed you, you fall into the pit of despair. Magnus, knowledge, and the point there that where order goes, you know enough, you do not need to know more. And because he didn't tell more, everything fell apart, and that's why the Golden Throne broke. Because he didn't tell him enough, because the father knew better. Didn't allow them to learn by themselves. Let Lorgar get to the stage of worshipping, as opposed to going, Lorgar, why do you think I'm some sort of god?
Very interesting, that.
If you go, like, one of my favourite...
Do you reckon... Sorry. Is that what the Emperor actually did? Or is that something you've read? Is that something you've assumed? In other words, is that written somewhere that the Emperor allowed Lorgar...
I don't know. I don't know if it comes up in the books.
Or is that something you've just...
thinking about now.
Perceived. Interesting.
Because...
I like it.
If... Like, there's a lot of influence that, of course, the Emperor has psychic powers and the ability to understand time and what's going to happen. Hence why he was building the Golden Throne. But he's not infallible because the Immaterium is without time. So that's why he can't see fully in it. And so that means he would have had... He knew that Magnus was going to screw up, hence the council and the trial and everything else.
Nicaea.
That's the one. I couldn't remember what it is. I knew it was a famous thing in Nicaea. And so that meant he could have some perception of the future. But he couldn't alter it. Now the real question is, maybe he did see Lorgar failing and losing his faith, but couldn't fix it.
Well, maybe he could, because here's an example of where we have seen unimaginable scale and planning in the Emperor as St. George.
Yep.
Killed the dragon.
Yep.
Imprisoned it on Mars.
Yep.
Which was then discovered by whoever in the book, Mechanicum, 30,000 years later. Well, it planned it 30,000 years earlier. That's some planning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But maybe his own ego got in the way as well.
Who knows?
Now, so even my favourite Primarch that I never had any fondness, and I've got to say, I can't remember what Honest Heresy book actually read it. Might have been Tales of Heresy, but there was one story that involved Khan the Betrayer and Angron. And it's basically where it's the captains of the World Eaters. Who names them World Eaters when they're meant to be the good guys? Really, you know? But anyway, like, if we go down...
Well, you got to remember though, a lot of 40k is reverse engineered to justify itself.
I know, but also World Eaters does still apply because they're the ones to destroy worlds. And one of the best things about that one were all the captains going one at a time from first captain downwards to go confront Angron. Not to confront him in an actual angry way or anything like that. Was that they were actually going to like, look, we have got to follow and follow orders. And he hates all of them and everything they stand for because the Emperor ordered one thing when he was saved. And his salvation was, you must kill what you were. Which is he had to kill all his gladiatorial thing, etc. It's like, he was Spartacus in this sort of regard. It's like, no, these are my people. I grew up with this. You left me on this hellhole. You wanted me to grow up like them. Why do they not take the same journey as I do? And the captain stood exactly against that these coming in as saviours. And he was putting them into the hospital wings because he's a Primarch compared to a Space Marine. And it's just like battering them out. And the story ends up leading to Khan, who I think is captain of the 8th Company. He's about 7th or 8th, I can't remember exactly, but something like the 8th Company. And he goes in there and he starts out in the same way, and Angron's letting out this rage as he's like in this darkened room where he's basically destroying it, and this whole sort of thing in his rage and sort of like, and like goes throughout this hatred of the Emperor, and that you have the arrogance to come here and tell me what I need to do. Mm-hmm. I was betrayed, I was sent to all this one, and you made me kill. I can't remember if he killed them or not, but either way, that was the intention. I don't think it was left in a fuzzy ground, and the Emperor might have done it, I don't know. But the only difference where it comes to it is the interaction between Angron and Khan, where it comes down to, eventually it comes to the point where Khan goes, no, I'm not that. I support you in everything you did. I didn't make this choice. I am a slave just like you are. And he throws a punch against Angron. And of course it does bugger all, because he's a primer. But it's that moment where Angron goes to Khan, like, and you understand. And
yeah, because they essentially exchanged places between Angron and the Emperor. Now it's Khan and Angron. Yeah.
And it's like even going through all like that. I love the Chaos Primarchs are really quite interesting to me in their own way, because they're seen as a downfall. Yet you never look at the positive ones. The Loyalists have so many more downfalls than anything else.
For those that don't know, by the way, we've gone on to a nerd rant, and you might not be into nerd world things. Games Workshop produced a game called Warhammer 40,000, and the history of Warhammer 40,000 is something called the Horus Heresy, and they've produced a lot of literature around this, and the literature is it caters for every kind of intellectual level, you know, from real simple and quite singular dimensional stories to things that are really quite not necessarily convoluted and complex, but deep and questioning on top of all that, you know, which is why I get excited earlier on about a book called Eisenhorn, when Christian was going on about the Inquisition, and they actually pose some real interesting and philosophical questions to you. So I'd recommend reading a lot of it, you know. So Eisenhorn is one such book that I recommend. Another one is Prospero Burns and Know No Fear for me. But you know, this world, it's I don't even know if it's deliberate or it's just a symptom of itself. But when you look at Star Wars and when you look at Star Trek and when you look at Harry Potter or whatever else, they just pale in comparison when it comes to depth, breadth, what you can cater for. So I mean, I'd recommend it to anyone, and not just because I am that kind of nerd and I just want you to like what I like. It genuinely does have nuggets of wisdom in there.
Because they're based off old stories.
Yeah, very much they are based off old stories, but I mean, you can still recreate an old story like shit, and they haven't.
There's plenty of those.
They've nailed it, and in fact, what would you rather read? Eisenhorn or the story of Horus? I mean, so like, in fact, the Epic of Gilgamesh, for example, that's heavy going, or the Bible, heavy going. I'm not really up for sitting in the bathroom reading either of them things, but you give me some kind of intergalactic space emperor, and I'm right in there.
There's essentially the same story, but in a different setting, which is what sci-fi is actually. Yeah. There's an argument there. That's what actually sci-fi about, and people misunderstand the purpose of sci-fi. Science fiction, like, why don't we have sci-fi rom-coms?
Well, maybe we do. There's some Dan Abnett out there that...
There is
actually, the last one I just read, the girl who was trying to get home to her husband got home just to read his name on the dead list on the wall. Yeah, this guy was dead. They executed him. He didn't even die in war. They executed him accidentally. Yeah. Shit times, man.
But... I like the story. Like I said, the stories have a lot of depth, and actually, it was one of the things that I found. I wasn't surprised by not getting selected for the Black Library. I was in the case of it was. I'm going to give it a go. Awesome! It's one of the interview, and like I haven't got anything published or anything like that, and I need to get things finished. The one thing that was disheartening for me is I wanted to properly write in that 40k universe and in an official capacity.
I would love to as well.
I would have loved to be actually part of that universe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I would love to as well. I wrote a story, a short one as well, called It's Cold Outside. Not Red Dwarf.
So, yeah.
But it was just a short snippet giving a bit of background to one of the characters in the actual army. But there you go, that's enough about that.
I wrote, I actually put in put 3 or 4 entries in.
Yeah.
One, I also like the Warhammer Fantasy one that's actually set me up to go for a Warhammer Fantasy universe that I'm slowly building up. That might be revealed at some point. It's constantly getting more and more ridiculous, and I've got my laws and rules set in place. Because that's one of the great things about 40k in general. It's good science fiction because it's put laws in place and rules in place, and it keeps to them. And if it breaks them, it is an exception and it is special, and it becomes a bigger thing. There's nothing worse than going, oh, I know this magic spell because what?
Yeah, it's bollocks. That's one of the things I hate about Harry Potter. Well, if you say a word, it just works.
Fireball. Shall I tell you what? This is a thing about Harry Potter.
I don't like a lot of Harry Potter, though there's probably a lot of genius in it. There's just, yeah.
I think Harry Potter is really offensive to people with lisps. As proven with this famous scene with, it's not Leviosa, it's Leviosa. So you're telling me if someone with a lisp can't be a wizard?
Alright, fucking muggles, man.
Have you thought that out?
No.
What was if you're from Birmingham?
Alright, okay, yeah. Poor Aussie. Well, that explains Aussie then, doesn't it?
Like, it's a fucking darkness. But you've got all this sort of thing. It's like, have you thought about that? What about?
I tell you what, the accents in Harry Potter grind my gears. Everyone is a posh little nerd, and I ain't up for it. There's like, I don't know, it just is. I don't know if it's just me being old and grumpy, or elitist, or both, or whatever combination of any kind of negative personality trait you want to sling on me. But I don't know. I find it all a bit overacted in all the wrong areas. So even just as a consumer of such material, while everybody says reading the books is amazing, which is like,
that's because it's your mind that's amazing.
Yeah. Because
that's the art of a book, though.
Yeah,
and so you've got to give her credit for that.
I construct the words of a book to suit me in the best way possible because that's what my mind does. But I've never read the books, and I don't think I ever will. But I really struggle to watch the movies, and I do watch them. And when they're on TV, I'll choose to watch them because I like to give things a chance again and again because I'll grow to enjoy certain things. And music is a good example of that. I have a 6 listens to rule. And it
give it 6 listens to see if you like it.
Yeah, it never fails me. Generally, if I like something on the first listen, I won't like it by the 6th. So it's a little bit shallow and shit. Yeah. And if I give something 6 listens to, if I like it, then it generally will grow on you. I'll give a prime example of that. Deloused in the Comatorium by the Mars Volta. Oh, like, did my head in that album. Like, but this is where I learned the lesson. I left it on while I was painting, and it was just on repeat on the CD player. And oh mate, it's such a good album. It's unbelievably good, but it's chaos, kind of like Dillinger Escape Plan, but a little bit more musical. And it is just amazing. Do you know Dillinger Escape Plan?
I've heard of them a lot.
It's just crackers. Like, there's no way in it. It's just arsehole busting musical rape is what it literally just makes your entire view of what music is. But the Mars Volta are a little bit more arty-fi about it, as opposed to just literally I'm just going to destroy your idea of what music is. They're going to go, I'm going to challenge your idea of what music is, and maybe you're going to enjoy this.
But there's a big difference in that one, challenging and destroying.
Yeah, well, you know,
because that might explain why Abaddon keeps failing.
Because he just wants to challenge and not destroy.
Yeah. Because if he destroys the Imperium, he's just become the new Imperium.
Yeah, no one wants that.
Because that's why he keeps on failing.
You reckon?
Yeah.
You reckon or you know?
I don't know. It's not my universe, is it?
I don't know. Somebody's kind of implying that Abaddon's actually not quite as bad as he sounds. I can't remember where I heard it. Like, Abaddon actually isn't fighting for chaos or something like that. Really, he's fighting to.
Like I said, it's the fighting to make the Imperium strong.
But you can't be doing that from a chaotic point of view in the current.
It's anti-fragile. Abaddon is anti-fragile.
Alright, I see what you're saying.
So
Right,
every one of his
yeah,
campaigns,
yeah.
the Imperium must become stronger. And in the last one,
Right.
they failed.
I tell you what, that's an interesting idea then, because so the question of
Abaddon is the most loyal Space Marine.
no the
That's your essay title.
the question. This takes us back to the duality again from what we said earlier on. You can't have tall without short. You can't have short without tall. You can't have strength without weakness, and you can't develop strength without adversity.
Yeah.
You know, and the
You can't have force without resistance.
what's the sound of one hand clapping? Essentially, yeah. But what I mean is, what's it called? Leonid Thiel.
Yeah.
Who's a character in, I think he's my favourite 40k
Yeah,
book ever. Leonid Thiel. He got kicked down because he asked the question. Space Marines are the strongest warriors in the galaxy.
Yeah. What happens if they fight each other?
What happens if they fight each other? And we need to be prepared to fight the strongest warriors in the galaxy. The only strongest warriors left to fight are other Space Marines. So we need to be prepared to fight. And you know, he got his ass kicked for saying that, because it's heretical to think that a Space Marine would fight a Space Marine.
Because they go against all their programming.
Yeah, but
literally.
But we are progressive creatures, and you need to. So yeah, Abaddon doing that.
Or Horus
In
is the
fact,
first
that
one.
even it again is this idea of God we were talking about earlier on. You know, God. Oh, I love it how it all works. So
I love the fact that we're just now taking apart the 40k universe in terms of
well,
philosophical reason of why Horus did it.
well, you see,
This is going to get us in trouble somehow on Warhammer community.
I don't care what.
If this is the reason why we become viral, is because we've explained why Horus has actually done the...
Well, no, because it's not about Horus. It's about it's about what your idea of what God is.
Yeah.
So what makes God's dream more exciting is the fact that he's got to now, in order for his dream to become more exciting, he must convince himself that it's no longer a dream, that actually it's real, that evil is happening to God's experience, to our
He
experience.
has to make an enemy of himself.
So he has to make an enemy of himself. So that is why...
That's the creation of the devil.
The creation of Abaddon. And yeah.
So that's why
That's very
Horus... That
interesting.
might be why the Emperor chose... It's even
That's
better than that.
wow.
Go an extra level. That's
I
why
can
the
see
Emperor
it.
chose Horus. That's why he didn't choose
Whoa.
Sanguinius. Because Sanguinius would have
Wow.
won. Because he's a righteous mind and body and
Wow.
like an angel.
Because the Emperor
He's
gets
ultimate
shit
good.
like that. He understands dichotomy.
Doesn't choose Gilliman because he's the complete opposite.
'Cause
He's
he's too
directly order.
Yeah.
There is no
Wow.
chance for anything else. There's always the question why. Because Horus
Wow.
was the great. The reason why Horus even went to why did Sanguinius never? And they asked Horus at some point. It's in the book somewhere.
Yeah.
But they say why did Sanguinius be the War Master? Because all of them said he is the greatest among us, and that's why he can't be.
Yeah.
Because it's like making another emperor to take the spot of the emperor.
Yeah.
But what is the only way you can make the Space Marine stronger? To fight other Space Marines.
Yeah,
Because
but-
when the demons come,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
the Nids come, and when the enemies
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Imperium come, we must face them.
And no one takes a drill seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
So actually,
Mind blown.
that's what I said.
End. Done for tonight. We've finished. We've
And
we've
that,
worked it
and
out.
that is why Horus and Abaddon are the best Space Marines and the most loyal.
Interestingly.
And Fabius Baal's in on it as well.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I really love all that. That's
And arguably, it's Fabius Baal who made Primaris Marines.
yeah.
Because that's why Gilliman woke up.
Wow, man. I've not got that far.
No, it's not, but it's the same principle. That's how Chaos are going to get True Scale Marines, by the way.
The reason I said I've not got that far is because of the latest and last Horus Heresy book I read, although I didn't recently read it, the latest one I read within the story was the one where they're going after the gene seed.
Yeah.
The original Primarch gene seed that the Raven Guard had locked away. And I think the Emperor's Children are after him on that book. I think it's Raven's Flight, actually. I think that's what it's
Here's
called.
an interesting one as well. There's a certain element of returning back. It's the Pinocchio syndrome of going back to save your father.
The Belly of the Beast.
Going to the belly of the beast to save something that's worthwhile saving once again. And that's argument, that's what Gilliman is. And that's the sword. That's him becoming the new emperor, so to speak. And the jet bikes.
What? What's Shepard's got to do with it?
Because they're old technology, which is against the rules. The STCs in general, the manufacture of old technology, you could only find these old bits of relics to become what we once were, to become greater than we are now, because it's lost. Because we fought each other and we didn't know why we were fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to go back to find some worthwhile bits to then somehow push forward.
Right, got it.
So that is what the new technology represents, is the old technology being brought back to bring us into a new age of development.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I still think Horus now, and I still 100% stand behind it that Horus and Abaddon are the greatest loyalists. And
now, when you say that, right? So,
heroes of the Imperium.
Well, this all comes down now to the idea that if we know it's a drill, then we can't take it seriously. Now, if it was a drill and no one knew, then yeah, all right, I see why they are.
Yeah. What happens if they knew?
Yeah.
So that's probably why the Emperor might have said. What happens if the Emperor goes back to...
The Emperor even know? This is the other thing, because, the origins of the Emperor...
But this comes back to the Emperor being Malau.
The Emperor what?
In the 5th Chaos Guard.
Oh, right, okay. What was it called again?
Malau.
Malau?
Yeah.
That's a crap name, isn't it?
And it's basically the god that hates all other Chaos Gods.
Hates?
And wishes them to be destroyed. Now,
so where would Malau appear on the?
I think he's meant to hit in the middle. That's why he's the. That image that I showed you. He's the one that the good aspects of the Chaos Gods.
You saying he's God?
I'm saying he's the one in the middle. He's the balance between all of them.
God, essentially.
Yeah.
God. He is God.
And
being put forward as maybe Jesus, as St. George, as whatever figures throughout history. And being the incarnations of...
But should I tell you the other one that we keep on forgetting, and I forgot to mention it last episode.
In fact, that is the thing, being, if he is the eye in the middle and the Emperor is all about order, not chaos, then, he needs them to survive and they need him to survive.
Because otherwise, if you remove... Let's take an easy example. Take away Zinch from the equation.
Donut.
You lose your knowledge.
Donut.
Because you don't have unknowns and knowns anymore, so therefore there is only what there is. If you do not have disease and decay, there is no circle of life. It's the good and bad aspect. And as opposed to having 4 good, 4 bad, you have 4 bad, 1 good.
Have you seen them tarot card type drawings of the 4 Chaos Gods?
Yeah, the ones I showed you.
Done. Yeah, yes, you did.
Yeah,
that's one of the first
I love those every single time.
One of the first times we had a meaningful conversation that night, so I remember it, which is why all this exists as well, people. I keep looking at the screen and not the camera. The camera's up there, isn't it? But yeah, those put across as more romantic interpretations.
They're all done like gods. Roman gods. Greek gods. They're all everything else, and corn, anger, and rage turns into honor and warfare and martial pride.
Yeah, absolutely. Nurgle being the god of life, essentially.
Yeah, and renewal.
And
Zinch was still of knowledge and change and of development, so to speak.
Yeah.
And progress.
Yeah.
And where Slanesh was the god of fertility.
Yeah.
Fertility and desire.
Yeah.
The driving forces. And it's that juxtaposition between the two. And actually, I've taken that combination, the idea of this good and bad aspect, and actually, in my own form of what I describe as the Warhammer fantasy world.
So what you're saying is we could become chaos worshippers and better ourselves.
I've actually, for a long time, been kind of thought of being... the Chaos Gods, I think, are actually on the right track.
Yeah.
They're essentially what they have, just like demons. They are elemental parts of human consciousness of whatever, so rage, anger, but it's passion as well.
Yeah,
that's what corners of passion, and like I'm willing to destroy everything you've got because I think I'm right, or I know something, or anything else, or you're gonna do harm to me. I will stop you, and I will stop you harming anyone else.
Yeah.
And we've got Nurgle, which has a case of decay and moving on, the processes of eat, decay, life. Process moving on, and the fact that once again we get the anti-fragile part in Nurgle as well, because it's disease. You have to suffer disease to be new and strong. Well, nothing can exist without Slanesh, but that's why it's the youngest one, because it's life and creation.
Yeah.
But then, of course, if you get too obsessed with that, you spill into a spiral of me, desire. I only desire what's everything for me.
Been there, done that.
And
might even still be there a little bit.
And the beautiful bit about Tzeentch is it doesn't need to change because it's just knowledge.
Because it
but
is
the
changed.
right just knowledge.
Yeah, well, knowledge is just a tool, isn't it?
And without it, there's nothing, and with it, there's everything. But then at the same time, just like with the shadows, knowing something more means you can't see everything.
Yeah, Tzeentch essentially is, you might even call him the observer.
Yeah. There's the influence that he influences it, but I think that's a big ploy.
Yeah. Why?
Because what's better than everyone thinking that you control absolutely everything and making all the bargains for you to do absolutely everything, and you do nothing at all? And they all do it themselves. What's a bigger joke than that? And he is a jester.
Interesting. In those images, yeah.
There's a lot of that sort of imagery with him.
Oh, we can't put that image up, can we? Do you know where those images are on the web? Oh,
I might be able to pull the gods one. I can put. I'll try and put some stuff in over
do we
the top.
know the artist as well? Can we credit the artist?
If I find it, I'll put it on there.
Because that'd be amazing.
That's one. There's something that I get of that annoys me occasionally is when you find like art, like that's from Steve Vai, but some of the 40k books, for example, they don't credit the artist, and that.
Yeah,
I dislike that. I think you should credit the artist that made it.
Well, I think Games Workshop are trying to create some kind of a monolithic team sort of idea. You know, it's the Games Workshop team that write the books now.
But you're not going to be in that team forever, sadly.
No, I don't know. I don't know
what their rights is. They might be able to once they leave and say, look, this. Do they have something that can back up and say, look, this is my art, this is my art, this is my art?
Yeah. I don't know.
I couldn't possibly say it's their business.
I couldn't possibly say, yeah, because I mean, as I said to a few people when I was applying for the heavy metal team, you know, a couple of the heavy metal guys just said outright, yeah, Tommy can do the job. You know, whereas when I said to one of the recruitment guys, I said, look, you know, those guys say I can do the job, but that doesn't mean that I know what goes on behind that door. Don't know what goes on behind that door, and I don't.
There might be something that you don't deal morale-wise, or morality-wise.
Who knows what I'm saying is we don't know what Games Workshop's thoughts are. We just know what they produce, and we only know
what they're showing us.
Yeah, we only know what they show us. And
so what we're really saying is that Games Workshop's Tzeentch.
They definitely.
Or
I
worse.
tell you what, they definitely make us dance to a tune.
Or what's worse, or what's really worse, they're the Emperor.
Both.
Maybe we need to be the Horus.
No, well, we kind of are, because we will talk with our wallets.
Everyone does, and that's the best way to do a lot of stuff.
And it shows that, just in the way Games Workshop is at the moment, that it's just excellent at the moment. 40k and 30k, both are just excellent. You know, as a system, as a game system, as a fiction system, and as an art system, as an education system. In fact, as a community. So again, I'm going to come back to explaining the 40k to people. So a lot of my education came from this hobby.
Maths, probability.
Maths and probability, art, craft, joinery, literacy, social skills.
Estimating distances.
Well, just almost everything, so you can call that hand-eye coordination, whatever you want to call it. So
Sportsmanship.
Absolutely.
Some people don't get that, but until they finally get beaten down by sportsmanship.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing in wargaming or doing a game or anything like that is...
An achievement.
You
know, the desire to excel.
Do you want my favourite gaming achievement that I got in Warhammer? So this was the time before Beastman, when Beastman was still only a third of a book. So it was when they used to be Beastman, Warriors of Chaos and Demons of Chaos. And they were only a third of a book. And it was just before the book was coming out. And I was going GT, so the grand tournament, and I was taking Beastman. And they were nowhere on the scale of actually being any chance of anything else. The whole zeitgeist at that time were demons and vampire counts. They were the top ones at the time. And in my qualifying to try and get there were 3 Beastman players. I was there to have a laugh, but at the time anyway, I'm out of the system really at the moment. But at the time I was actually a pretty good player, and I also had the advantage that a lot of people, because they were only a third of book, most people hadn't played Beastman. They don't know what they could do. They hadn't done their homework. And so I fought 4 demon players over 6 games.
That's got to have been pretty boring.
And
were they differing, like
the only one I didn't get, and it really got annoying, is that I did not get myself a Lord of Change head, and I really wanted a Kairos Fateweaver head. I killed every single greater demon I fought.
Really?
With Beastmen.
Wow. That's quite some of that, really.
It is. And it was all through shenanigans and trickery, and it was great to watch someone who had brought an army, particularly demons at the time, that was seen as this top class or whatever, and watching them get befuddled by a bunch of weird mutant-looking goat people.
I like Beastmen a lot for that, you know.
I love it.
Look pretty cool. I like how simple Beastmen are.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
I qualified with that GT. I killed a Bloodthirster in close combat with my Beast Lord because the guy didn't challenge. I said, it's that blatant moment of going, I have to allow you to challenge first. And I say, I am not challenging. I was like, you've got to challenge take it. I was like, if he'd accepted the challenge, I didn't get impact hits because there was a Beast Head in the front, Bloodthirster's there, and I'd use my best shenanigans, Brave Staff, so the Staff of Darkoff, which allows one of my units to charge. And everyone didn't remember about it because they just see me, I've got 2 level 2 crappy wizards. I was like, I'll do my little spell to try and make things charge. And they'll go, have you used all your dice? It's like, yeah, I've only used that. And then they'll go, oh yeah, I roll 6 dice to dispel. I'm like, okay, I used the Brave Staff. You just watch faces like, I've got no dispel dice. Bound level 7, you roll 2 dice, you win. No, you didn't do it. Charge in the flank. Beast Lord just goes, here's D6 plus 1 impact hits. Here's my Frenzied Tusticores, because if my Lord's frenzied, so are the beasts. So they're whacking out just huge attacks.
Explain to people who might not be into this hobby, because basically it's easy for me to go on a giant nerd rant.
Basically a 20-foot demon. He's basically a massive Minotaur, but red, with all Mr. T's bling, massive wings, and he goes around going skulls for the Skull's Throne.
So essentially, Tim Curry from Legend is 30 foot tall, and he's incredibly pissed off with you.
Yeah, and got beaten by a goat man.
There we go, yeah.
Who's got a really big mace.
Yeah, beaten by a goat man who's got some kind of Harry Potter staff, essentially.
And he's got 2 pet balls.
Staff do? So a bunch of spells were cast, and this guy with his magical skills just basically goes, no, all your spells are now uncast. We've undone all your spells. And then
he
realises that he's got nothing left in his tank, so your army then basically can just clobber him from all over angles, and you just set him up for a loser, basically.
Yeah.
Which is, again, just strategic thinking, you know.
That came a lot from Games Workshop.
So, that hobby, if
it wasn't expensive as...
It's so down. I mean, expense is a matter of opinion. So, I mean, let's get into this. I am well up for this conversation. Having been a staff member for a very long time in whatever capacity, but mainly retail. You know, the expense thing. Because I'm not a staff member now, so I can be absolutely objective and honest about it.
I'm also going to say my expense bit is probably also... I will hold mine up straight away. It's a snide comment.
Yeah, of course it is a snide.
So I'll hold my hands up with that.
Of course it is a snide comment, but I'm not dealing with it in order to deal with you. I'm dealing with it in order so that people out there who are into this hobby and do have that opinion that it's ridiculously expensive.
I don't think it's as ridiculous as people say.
Well, for example, you can get a character model now, a Lord level character like that. He's a $5 because he's free on the front of a magazine. So the lowest...
Conquest is a
No, not Conquest.
No?
There's 2 magazines that Games Workshop sell in the Getting Started section, and can't remember what they're having. It's just the Age of Sigmar magazine and the Warhammer 40k magazine. So there's 2 separate magazines, and there's only 1 issue of these magazines, and they're like old they are. But you get a free model on the front. The Age of Sigmar model is like an £18 character if you want to buy it.
Is that the female?
No, that female Age of Sigmar, she's in a £10 box set with 3 models in, and even that's great. But this magazine, for a $5, you get a Lord level character, and you get the rules of the game, and a painting guide, and a background. So a $5 is what you need to start,
That's pretty
Any
awesome.
of Games Workshop's games.
I didn't have that when I was growing
Now,
up.
alright, you've not got a massive army, but you don't need a massive army to play. You might want a massive army to play. You might think you need a massive army to play, but you don't. You need a bad guy and a good guy.
And then from there, you learn the
And
rules.
you're done. Then that is starting the hobby. Anybody that says you need a few hundred quid to start this hobby is talking shit.
And actually, the one that actually also annoys me is a lot of these people also come from my ilk, veteran players from old times.
Yeah.
And yet you'll turn around to
But
them and say,
I'm one
do you want
of
to play Mordheim? How many models is Mordheim?
Well, 15 at max.
Unless you're scaling 20. I
Unless
think.
you're scaling, alright, yeah.
But that's the
Kill
point.
Team!
Kill Team.
Kill Team,
It's as
beautiful.
big as
I mean,
small-
look at me board! I'm going to finish that soon, we'll play some games.
And when you get round to that, I'm going to see if I can get a camera, and I'm going to do what I said before, which was find a way to photograph models in the scenario properly. Because that was one of the things we got annoyed at GW at.
Well, I mean, I can already do that. Have you seen me GC the cold pictures?
Maybe at some point. But we got off topic for the thing about the expenses. And if you were really starting the hobby now, I actually think the expense to an extent is a good thing. Because if you are actually a teenager growing up to do the hobby right now, and you're going to collect what most people collect because it's like Space Marines, right? You've got all the Get Started box sets and all the Battalion box sets, which are awesome and they are good value compared to everything else. I can't deny that whatsoever. But if you go for they used to be my sort of birthday, Christmas presents for whatever. But if you're starting now and there's Conquest, etc., collecting Space Marines, you could go get the Conquest magazines and you get enough Space Marines, Primaris Marines.
Yeah, no.
Or, even better, do what you should do, which is there's something in one of the old games at White Dwarfs, and I think they came back again, which was a Tele 4 Gamers, right? If you've got a handful of mates, okay, 4 people, 3 people, 2 people, you and your friend, brother, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Sister, anyone, right? And you go, right, this month we get £10 pocket money per week or whatever. Probably more because I know that they seem to get more. But £10 a week, that's £40 a month. Let's call it £20 a month because you spent 20 quid on whatever else. Okay? That means you can roughly buy a box set a month. But what's better and what you should be doing, not to be in a situation like me or many other gamers that constantly put out their New Year's resolution to paint all the models that I already have.
A useless resolution.
Right? But then next week they'll bloody buy something.
Yeah.
Right? You go and go, we both got one of these £3 Lord characters, we've got a hero, and we're going to spend time, learn how to paint them. After, most likely, going to a GW and painting one of the Space Marines or whatever, so you get the idea. So you don't, not waste it, but you can put your best foot forward.
Do you know what? It's free. You could start this hobby for free by doing exactly that.
Yeah.
You get a free model and you play a game with it. You have just started that hobby.
Yeah.
Whether you can proceed with it is up to you. So
And it's
free,
1-to-1.
Free is the entry.
And what you do is you go, I'll buy and you go, free entry, and you go, I'll buy this model, this starter set for £5, whatever. I've got the rules again. We're good. And also, if you're a smart thing about it, you don't need models to start if you really like the game, because how many times have you proxied a model?
Me? I've never done it. I mean it.
No, you might, okay.
Never,
but there's plenty of
never,
times where you've done something like that because you want to try something. Never in a store or anything like that.
Never. I literally mean I've never even rolled a dice hypothetically on a table without the model there in front of me because
fine.
I can't. I'm not that guy.
But one of the things that you can do now that you've got your hero character and you buy a squad, you spend the time and you make the squad. You paint the squad. It's all done and looks wonderful. Now I've got a hero and I've got a squad. Great. I buy another squad that goes with it. And you make it and you build it. And then what's even better, if you choose wisely and your person you're doing it with, and you go, oh look, and now we're making an army together. We made 500 points.
Mm-hmm.
We've made then 1,000 or whatever it is these days. But nonetheless, 500 points, 1,000 points.
Interesting at 40k in fantasy at the moment. You can play the game however you want. So if you want no points, you play no points. If you want what you call basic points or power points, you can just have so a unit is a point. Or if you want to get into detail, then you can go into.
I think for beginners, I quite like the PowerPoint one. The only reason why I say
PowerPoints is what most people use now, and it's so easy.
The one that I think you'd be careful, and particularly for beginners in general, just not because of whatever system it is, but it's always got to be careful if I turn up to your house with my models, and I've got Space Marine Chaplain and 20 Tactical Marines, which I'd like to point out is a really cool list in whatever points it is, because it makes sense, because it should be blasted Tactical Marines. Amount of people, I've got one squad of Tactical Marines, a squad of Scouts, and then everyone else is Assault Marines. Have you not read the Codex? Gilliman will be turning over it in his non-stasis thing because he's walking around now. But there's nothing worse than putting out that and you've gone, look, I made it, I painted it because I'm doing it the right way, I'm painting it and they're loving my models, and then there's a really badly painted Lehman Russ sitting across you.
I can't bear stuff like that.
And
partly why I don't really ever play is because it's hard to find people with complete setups, because that's the way I am.
I would rather, dare I say it in a gaming sense, I'd rather play someone with a themed army than someone who's literally like, I'm just going to hit to win. That's why I like doing the Beastman thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even if somebody says they're here to win, I might be up for a game. And to be honest, I'm a pretty hard guy to pin down to get a game. But there you go. Hey, it's been a week since since we talked about your weight and exercise. And
well, it's slightly less than that because we're filming this on a Wednesday.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what is there any other progress and blah blah blah?
Not as much as I like, because I've worked out something, but that's the important thing for this one. Is we filmed it on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
Last week, and one of the things that I do every day, and this is a strange thing you'll see from this one, is very much in the case about losing weight, is maintaining a minimal level of activity.
Yeah.
Now, on these days off, I think 2 out of 3 of them, I did my DDP yoga.
Yeah.
But I didn't do one thing that I was doing for every other day that I was doing like those weeks, which is walking over 10,000 steps, because it's about 3,000. It's basically 3,000 to work, 3,000 back from work, and about 3,000 during work.
Yeah.
Roughly, give or take. And there's normally a lot more steps. And what I found is, because I wasn't doing that, my weight stayed basically stationary. Or more muscle over losing fat, or too much salt and not enough water. Mm-hmm. However, I think at least the walking one does make a difference, because it stopped on Monday, and you'll see it if we bring it up later on. I've coloured it yellow because I was like, oh, why is it staying the same? And then I worked out the dates, what was happening. Because I didn't change my diet. I had steak instead of something else, and I had burgers as well, but nothing that would do anything to change it massively. Or that I didn't have any cheats or anything like that could put off. I didn't drink alcohol or anything like that. And so I was like, okay, what's happening? It's like, it's probably something to do either with the salt, either to change composition, or not the 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
Now, not this morning, yesterday morning, there was a reduction from, the weight had gone back down again. As in, it didn't move anyway, it sat around 155.0 to 155.5 in kilograms. It's about 346,
Yeah, that's a pint of water, that though, isn't it? You could have drank off.
That's that as well, but it's staying around stationary around that. And then on Tuesday morning, because of course Monday morning it shows Sunday, and then Tuesday morning shows Monday, it then decreased again by 0.5, 0.6 of a kilogram. I was like, okay, so there's something there connected to this minimum level of activity. So that means my plan on Friday and Saturday and Sunday is that I need to go do something to make sure I get those 10,000 steps.
Yeah,
What
I'd say
that
it's
turns out.
interesting because this little thought that kept rolling through my head as I'm listening to you was, I just wanted to know how fired up you are for doing exercise. As I'm listening to you, I'm just thinking, well, are you losing your own steam? That's I suppose that's another way of phrasing that same question. Are you losing your own steam, or are you still fired up? And I'm bringing it up because it's a question that once asked will probably fire you up.
Yeah,
I would hope that's the intention.
No, that's actually one of the good things about this.
And I think maybe these conversations, as well as trying to figure out the nature of the fucking universe and 40k, but it's
I still
also
love that.
to potentially hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
But not to punish or whatever, but to motivate, love, accept, whatever you want to call it. To motivate.
No, I will actually.
Someone take an interest in exactly what it is you're doing.
I will also say, because this is an important one, is I have also gone through, particularly maybe either this week or the last couple of days, not all the whole couple of days, but it has appeared in at least 1 or 2 days. One of the things that you do happen when you hit a plateau in...
Not a fart. Might not be a fart.
It
is a fart. It's going to be awful though, by the way.
All his farts are terrible.
It's clinical.
Biological warfare. But
it's not too bad. It's quite a short last to that one. It's okay.
And what the thought is, and what normally happens when you hit a plateau or something like that, or even just in general, sometimes you hit the stage that's pretty bad for you.
It's not, honestly, mate.
No,
honestly, I literally could rip the airs out.
I suppose there's quite a lot of it, rather than
it's a thick one. Without
yes,
it's thick.
But one of the major problems that you have a lot of times when you're losing weight, and you might be gaining weight, is sometimes it feels like you're not making progress. Sometimes you feel like it feels a little bit pointless, and that has happened. But the point of it is what I did in that most of those situations. Like sometimes you have to realise what is happening. Now, one of the things I had the other day was I had milk, and it's like, actually, that might have carbohydrates in it, and that can cause stomach inflammation and can cause you to change mood and all that sort of thing. So that was one thing to take into consideration.
It'll be the lactose and the proteins in milk that'll do things like that. But at the same time, it depends on the state you've got and whether you've got the condition for digesting fats.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it's not the only thing. It was a point that it was an anomaly. It's worthwhile putting a note, and you'll see that on the spreadsheet. I marked it in red on the day that I had it to see any other effect on it. But at the same time, it's seeing that and then realising it's like, okay, so what was your goal? Yeah. Right? What's the point? If you stop here now, you're just going to stay back where you are. And what movement is going to go? If it's not going forward, why isn't it going forward? And then what do you have to do about it? If it's the case of, well, you're not exercising on these days. Okay, well, there's a solution. There's an easy solution. And the easiest one that requires no real major effort is to make sure that I do 10,000 steps. I'm not running 10,000 steps. I might do some running this weekend because I feel like I'm more confident about just actually doing it. Because no one questions someone walking, they question someone running. In two ways. One, either you're idiot or madman, or you're running away from something. There's a lot. People judge runners, they don't trust walkers. Unless you're doing that stupid power walk.
Everyone can spot a jogger.
Yes.
So go and jog.
So,
but is this an insecurity really you bringing up in disguise here?
No, it's an insecurity, but I think it's an insecurity that everyone who's trying to lose weight has sat through.
Yeah.
And I think it's worthwhile to realise, reevaluate what you're doing, and I don't mean that in reevaluate, oh, are you sure you should be doing it? But reevaluate, right, what is your process? Like my spreadsheet, I can look back and go, look, what am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, if your diet's a bit more diverse than my one is at the moment, because I'm keeping it fairly samey, I haven't got a food diary because I can tell you exactly what I ate on what day.
Because you're eating one fucking thing.
Well, I'm not eating just one thing, actually.
Really? Go on.
My school day lunch is slightly different from my weekend lunch.
Okay.
So my school day lunch and food in general is, school day is I will have half a pack of 15% or 20% beef mince. So 500 grams, not 500 kilograms. That's why I'm not putting on weight, losing weight. But no, 500 grams of mince. I have a bit of, when basically cooking it, I do add garlic and chilli.
Okay.
Because garlic helps the immune system and chilli does as well, and it adds a bit of flavour. There's my part where I know that works, and it doesn't seem to affect me, so I'm keeping that, right? And I also then have like a mixed bag of cheese. I have about half a pack, about 100 grams of that on top, which works out close to about 1,200 calories in
That's
one
full
box. That's for lunch. And then
no breakfast.
no breakfast. I don't generally have a lot of time for it. Possibly I should, but I'm trying to also make sure that I eat within this 8 hour, 9 hour window, that your body goes through its enzymes and then it starts to wear off. And it's either breakfast and lunch or lunch and dinner is kind of the two options. And lunch and dinner seems to have worked out better for me. It might work for different someone else. There's a good benefit of having protein in the morning because you feel better, you feel full, and so on. So that's my lunch, which I microwave at school and so on. My dinner at this current point in time on a normal weekday night is basically a pack of streaky bacon, which works out about another 1,000 calories. The reason why I go for streaky...
A pack of streaky bacon for dinner?
And 2 eggs. There's 3 at the moment, I might go down to 2.
Holy shit.
No, it's not a massive pack, but it works out to about 1,000 calories.
That's still the 12 streaks of bacon, though.
It's about that. I don't know what it actually works out.
Yeah.
I could show you, but I can't.
It's interesting, I don't buy meat for this house anymore, you know.
And it's £1. And the reason why I get this, so most people get these sort of medallion sort of bacon, and I don't want that. I want the fat as well, so that's why I go for the streaky bacon.
So it's part of your carnivore diet plan, part ketosis then?
Yes, it would be anyway, because there's no way I'm getting carbs anyway.
No, yeah.
Carnivore is sometimes described as a 0 carb diet.
Yeah, but that's a 0 carb diet is very different to a 0 protein and a 0 fat diet. And the 0 carb diet, let's get my ideas right, because again, I'm no dietary expert. A high fat diet isn't the same as having a no carb diet.
Yeah.
Cutting sugars out just in its essence wouldn't necessarily leave you on a high fat, high protein diet, but you definitely would, I assume.
You'd need it.
Put your body into ketosis, so therefore your body becomes used to burning fats, and your fat reserves.
Yeah.
Which would be internal and external, so the things that are on your outside layer as well as the things that go around your arteries, around your organs.
And your fat cells become smaller. So really what we're saying is, the reason I want to explore this is because I've thought about a keto diet, though I don't think my digestive system could really hack it as we discussed last time. What's the point of it, if you get my meaning?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what I'm just trying to figure out is, while you may be losing weight, it doesn't necessarily mean you are becoming healthier. So when I hear things, and again, I'm not saying this isn't or is, just it's about seeking understanding this. So if you're having a pack of bacon and 2 eggs in the evening, and then fried beef with whatever trimmings, how healthy is that outside of weight loss? And the reason I ask is because I'm neither trying to gain or lose weight necessarily, although I'd rather not lose it. And if I'm going to put it on, I'm not that motivated to put it on, but I am motivated to find healthier ways of living while maintaining my weight and maybe putting it on if I can. You know, and that might contradict a little bit to the things I said last week, but I've had a rethink about what I have actually been doing in my attitude towards it, and I've not been working towards any kind. I've not done press ups in ages or anything like that. I'm not bothered. I do my Wim Hof every day.
Yeah.
Like that's like twice a day. In fact, so I keep spitting on me like.
Don't worry. Nice.
So twice a day I'll do Wim Hof. That's like the proper biggest staple. So what are your thoughts on how that diet you've just explained to me there is affecting your health?
In terms of other things that I do as well, I do include also low sodium salt, so it's got more potassium salt in it as well, which helps like dealing with cramp and all this thing. Plus, find out if you actually put it on some reason it somehow gives a strange sort of KFC flavour, you know, well, it's really strange. When I was having it, I was going mad. I thought it was just a weird
flavour of chaos.
No, but the outside of KFC.
Oh, KFC, sorry. I thought you said a KFC flavour.
And it's just got that sort of slightly bit of the KFC herbs and spices. I don't know. I get they might use it.
Well, no one knows it's Colonel's secret fucking recipe, innit? So.
But it's got that kind of thing. It seems to work on bacon. It gives that tiny little bit closer to that, which is a strange thing. I thought it was a coincidence because I'm using a cast iron skillet.
Yeah.
But no, it seems to be the salt because I've tried other things. In terms of what's going on, so in one of the better terms, is the way that you look at things sometimes is how are you actually doing? How are you feeling? Now, overall, I'm feeling like I've got more energy. I feel like I'm moving forward. I don't feel bloated. That's from having no carbs. But having carbs, I'll bloat and I'll feel bad for it and just don't feel great and feel tired.
What's interesting? What type of carbs? Because the word carbs, because I'm a carb heavy guy.
Yeah.
You know, the word carbs is not a good enough word. That's like saying people. What does that mean? You know, and then you could break it down. Oh well, sugar.
It's simple and complex carbs.
But then sugar's not a good word because there are different types of sugars that do different types of things, and some are bad, some are good, and blah 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 blah. And even though when you break it down into the oses, the fructose, glucose, freaking.
You want alleos that actually reduces chance to get diabetes.
Whatever it might is, even still, then they're not good enough explanations as to what's actually happening. So anyway, you don't have to explain it to me. But what? Yeah. I'm just. You say you're feeling better. Fucking win.
I feel that also my blood pressure feels a bit low. I need to check that again. I've done it before because I said I probably doesn't mind at some point. But my brother had high blood pressure thing like last year, something like that. Not last year, the year before. But so one of the Christmas presents from last year was my mum got me a heart blood pressure thing, which you can get, and you can literally just put it on and so on and so forth. And so I'm checking on that one and seeing where it is. And so far, I was always on the high of normal since the last time I went to the doctors, whatever, and it still is high of normal. So it's in normal range. It's just at the top part of that, but that's partly hereditary as well, and overweight and so on and so forth. So I'll do it this weekend so I know, so I can see it again. But like I said, overall, feeling more awake, more attuned, pretty stronger. Doing activities, doing not just mentally motivated, that you can be as mentally motivated as one is if your body won't do it. After I do my yoga and all that sort of stuff, I don't feel I feel tired after doing it. That's appropriate. But the next day I don't feel broken. I feel walking easier. Which might be due to the weight loss as well. It might be, do you think, I don't feel as hungry. Even now, I haven't had dinner. I am hungry. My body's going, you feel hungry. But I'm not at someone's throat that I needed to eat something.
Yeah.
I don't have the desire to eat sweets. I don't have the desire to, don't get me wrong, I'd smelt pizza your pizza we had the other, when you had it.
It was a freaking good pizza, that one.
And I smelled it and I went, that smells really good,
pizza.
I could eat that. But my body went, and it does smell really nice. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
So I suppose, I'm just trying to get to grips with, I'm just caring for you, that's as simple as it is. And I'm just trying to investigate more into what information you've got or think you've got. So for example, I brought up last time, some people who go on this kind of our diet suffer X side effects. How much research have you done into looking at the side effects of your type of diet?
Currently at the moment I'm doing it for the month was my only real plan.
Okay.
So I haven't looked into full long-term situation.
It's actually been going on for longer than a month though, hasn't it? Because
I'm talking about what I'm doing. I've been doing sort of kind of ketosis before then. So I've just kind of sort of stepped it up would be the term. In terms of a lot of people who have been doing it reasonably long term as well, ketosis and the fact that it is essentially a ketogenic diet is the fact that by putting cells and not providing glucose, things like cancer cells, for example, cancer cells can only use glucose to carry out respiration. They can't do ketogenesis. So that means that they basically starve and die off. So it's been used as cancer treatment for about 30 years, I think it is.
So for those that don't know what a keto diet is, is you take up your body's you're really used to burning sugar to do what it does. So the body in its cells generally will burn oxygen to do what it does, and create an adenosine triphosphate to do what it does, and burn sugars to do what it does. And sugars come under the glucose, fructose, blah blah blah, and carbohydrates, simple and complex, whatever. So taters and Haribo, essentially.
The reason why I point you out there is because you're not burning oxygen. You could argue that you're burning the glucose.
Well, it all gets turned in. It all gets turned in.
It does in
triphosphate, and that's really what you use to burn the energy. Blah blah blah. Now, when you go into ketosis, which is what a ketogenic diet is, you take all those sugars out, so your body is starting to starve, and it goes, what do I need to run on? It goes, we've got all this fat here. So it starts burning the fat no matter what or where, and your body then starts to remake itself in a way that becomes more efficient for burning fats, which is probably why I struggle on a fatty diet, because I'm a very sugar-based kind of person. So what that starts to do is it'll just burn fat like everywhere. Now, certain things can only live in certain environments, like you said, cancers can only live in certain environments, whether it be an acidic environment, or which sugar very much is pretty acidic. I say that, I don't know that. So
it is, as far as I'm aware.
Education is needed. Well, you might see fat as very
produces
acidic as well,
produces H plus ions when dissolved in water, so it's acidic.
Well, here's a very interesting thing. Like a lot of the toxins, a lot of the shit that builds up in your body is built up and kept in fat in your body. So going into ketosis will also be getting rid of a lot of shit out of your body as well.
It's also, fat though is also at the same time, it is also one of the sources of where you make a lot of your hormones from.
Okay.
So that needs to be taken.
So getting your body going then will actually, what you might think would kickstart some maybe hormone deficiencies in certain cases. That's only a guess.
It's not probably going to do that if you go too far. Like if we're talking about 10% body fat, lower than that, there's a potential chance of maybe then.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're basically, your fat cells are probably too busy with everything else and storing everything else, then they can't work efficiently to produce hormones. So that's also why they can overproduce hormones by being too fat, such as estrogen, which isn't too far from testosterone, which gives you moves.
Got you.
And so that's where some of the problems can occur.
So I'll sum up my care then for you. So, I see lots of videos on YouTube that will say, the dangerous side of keto, or the dangerous side of veganism, or the dangerous side of the carnivore diet, or whatever it is. How much of those videos have you watched, and how much have you been able to separate opinion from fact?
Honestly, on the videos online, I've basically tried to avoid most of them, because they all have. It doesn't
have to be videos, and it can be whatever sources you want. As long as I'm just trying to get a feel of how educated you are, and that you're confident you're doing the right and best thing for you, and that whatever feel goods you've got aren't temporary and short term.
Temporary and short term is an important thing, but they're not that. So the major ones that I've been paying attention to, and I need to pay a bit more attention to, Dr. Sean Baker, who's probably one of the biggest
carnivore dudes. He's quite passionate about his eating meat. That guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not bothered about ruffling some feathers.
Yeah, which is good. I think you need to be that sort of person if you're going to do that.
I want to write this down. In fact, I put it on my little calendar here. I'll write a rough draft of it because sterling work. Because
we've got a couple of things for a later podcast as well.
Well, the point is, if we're doing it, I want to. I want to help you. We've still got to go through all my vital statistics as well. Actually.
Well, I said if I bring the blood thing as well, we can always do that one. We could, like I said, blood pressure.
Oh, okay.
Got that.
My blood pressure's always low. What am I writing down here now? Go on, carry on.
So we'll talk about Dr. Sean Baker, which I need a little bit more listening to him. Jordan Peterson and his daughter.
Yeah, I've seen that on Joe Rogan. He talks quite, but he also does talk about the side effects of the carnivore diet.
Yeah, no, there's the
And
possible side effects in that
It's
one.
a dangerous place to be. That in that I think that if the carnivore diet, and like Jordan Peterson says, is well, there's no long-term studies been done on this, so any benefits people have been feeling can only be assumed to be short-term so far.
Yeah.
But when people on carnivore diets tend to try and go back onto vegetables, the bodies react quite severely. So if the carnivore diet is a short-term thing, you're setting yourself up for a fall potentially, and a quite nasty one at that.
But then at the same time, you can suffer this from other different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not about backing you into a
Oh,
corner.
no, of course
like
not.
that.
But it's always worthwhile putting both sides, otherwise you wouldn't be doing due diligence.
Yeah, well, there's all these videos that say, well, a lot of vegans are going on to carnivore diets now, or a lot of vegans are giving up veganism for whatever reason. And, I, as an example, that mainly out of pleasure, I put meat back into my life. But the fact of the matter is I do feel good.
Yeah. For
and
having meat or...
for when I had...
So I just wanted to clear that one up. Or...
Yeah, but if I go too far towards meat, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
So it's almost like maybe some kind of balanced diet might be the answer.
I'm going to say this now, even no matter whatever we end up doing, etc., the fundamental thing that you really should be kind of doing is, if you just want, is in all things, a balanced diet, which basically means less refined sugar, so less bread, less all that stuff. Eat things that are, I'm going to use the phrase natural, so meat, veg. Avoid fruit's good. Don't have be aware of it. Don't assume that you can just eat all the fruit because it does contain.
I think you've got to be
stuff.
smart about fruit because it'll rot your teeth as well.
Careful with nuts as well. Nuts are highly calorific. Pay attention to that one.
Yeah.
And the biggest one.
Well, I'm alright with that. That's what I want. I want a lot of calories.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But that's what, like I said, you have what you want. I think that's an important one. I think we eat too much processed stuff all the time anyway. I think that's the biggest issue.
I generally do not eat any processed stuff. I either cook it myself in this house or I go somewhere where I know it has been cooked. And that's how I've been for a very, very long time.
The other one, and I'd say this just in a general diet, is I always make sure your calories are lower than what you're taking in, that's taken lower than me. Because, like, calories, they're calculated badly. They basically burn them, and we spend this one. Yeah. But what you should always do is try to be less than that, because then you're on calorie deficient, but you don't want to be too calorie deficient. Mm-hmm. You've got to be less, and that's essentially what it is. Because if you're eating more than that, and unless you're really defecating it all out, which isn't happening, you're going to be storing it on.
Here's two interesting ideas. Sorry, no, you crack on actually until you don't know. I'll bring me interesting ideas up later.
And do exercise. As I've proven, out of all the things you can do, and I'm going to say this now, it's like, if I'm right about this whole thing, what happened on the weekend, and I adjust it, and this weekend changed as well, presumably that would be about doing this, what I'm going to describe as the minimum level of activity. 10,000 steps. It's really not difficult. Okay? It's about half an hour, maybe an hour of actually walking. That's probably about it at your walking pace. 10,000 steps. Plus whatever exercise you're doing on top. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the thing to help you reduce weight. So you need to be, seems to be like doing that two things. I think. We'll see.
Yeah. Have you got any sources for people that might be in your position to get some info on things like that? Because,
No, that's mostly from me doing it.
Oh, that's what you found. So
that's what I'm presuming. I'm doing this, like I said, the reason why...
So you're presuming it, you've not found it?
I haven't found it because I'm going to experiment this weekend.
Right.
Okay.
Right, so apologies, I thought that's what you...
But the difference between Saturday, Sunday, Monday to then what the results are, it's like the moment that I started walking again, because going into school, etc., is that there was now a decrease from it. And it seemed to be straight away. And the only exception from that was on Monday evening, I had milk, but then that wouldn't have affected Tuesday. Well, it would have either affected Tuesday by not decreasing and so on, but it did decrease.
Right, so now you're on days a week. Remind me what it was I want to write down. Next time we have this conversation, ideally, what do you want to tell me? And I'm going to write it down on our post-it note. What do you want to tell me?
Let me think about where I want to be. What is... You can look up on board. What's next Friday? 25th, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We can't do that next Friday because I'm going to London for that weekend.
So,
I'll be back Saturday night or Sunday, whatever.
so that, by our next podcast.
Yeah, which will be maybe next Wednesday, next Saturday, whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can put them up every Monday because that makes sense. And what day would that would be? Day 27, 28 or so. And I would hope by then I'd like 14 kilograms lost.
14 kgs gone. I'm gonna in released.
And
I'm gonna use psychology.
well, no, it's actually scientifically correct because it's not going to. It's been transferred. I'm returning things back to the universe. I'm bored of it now.
So the idea is if you lose something, you program to look for it, so you just put it back on. So you say released, you're allowing it to go back to.
Now I say that that's what I'd like because that puts me at about 0.5 of a kilogram per day.
Yeah, man.
That isn't the rate that I want to lose it for by the time I reach my 30th, but I'd like that trend to be quite nice because then by day 100, I should be getting to about where I want to be anyway.
So that's a weight-based goal. What about a performance-based goal?
A performance-based goal, I
You
would.
said you wanted to do 10,000 steps, but you said that's easy, so fuck that.
Well, performance-based goal, I want to start doing running. Basically, I will put it into a better context by next week. I want every day to be doing that minimum level activity, which is either walking 10,000 steps or running every day.
So you min level every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day. And then at least be doing the alternative exercise every other day. But I'm trying to get that up.
But what are you going to commit to for this? Because we've got to do mine in a minute. Because do you know we've done like fucking loads of hours. I think we're well over 3 hours now.
I think we might be 320.
Yeah, so it's a good point to wrap this up, and I could do a kebab.
Yeah, I can do something to it.
Yeah, let's do it. There's food over there.
Yeah.
Right now. So you min level of exercise every day and what?
Minimum level exercise and at minimum other exercise
At minimum.
every other day.
Every other day, an alternative every other day.
Yeah. Which should be more, but like I said that I'm putting that minimum standard in.
I mean, the thing is, what I don't want to do is, I don't want to sit here and go, yeah, I'm going to do fucking everything, and then fail. But I don't want to do something shit and not do enough.
No, I agree as well.
Feel pushed, so.
And things life gets in the way.
Yeah, life does get in the way, you know, but this it's not about failure, this is, you know, we're push ourselves.
Oh, no. It's not failure because I'm going to get there.
Yeah, man.
It's a question of how I'm getting there. That's the question.
What's the date? So we'll say by Sunday is the 27th, so I'll put that on.
Yeah, 27th.
So even if we have this podcast recorded before then.
Like I said, that 14 kilograms is set to about day 28, so yeah.
Right. So shall I do mine in the same way? I kind of don't. There's no way I'm going to be putting any significant amount of weight on it a week. So I don't have a weight target.
Oh.
So what do you reckon instead of a weight target? I have a performance idea that I could put on, and I'd like to get back up to 3 sets of 20 press-ups.
Yeah.
Which I'm not at the moment.
So why not?
But I could get up to that in a week. I reckon easy. I just said easy, didn't I? Bastard. Fuck.
Well, you have a week. We'll do it live on camera.
Alright, yeah. I'm down. I'm down for that. 3 sets.
Even better, I'll do it with you.
You got 3 sets of 20 press-ups?
I don't know if it'll be nice or anything else. It might not be free to anything, but if you're doing press-ups, I will be doing press-ups at the same time as you.
Okay, so this is dietary, so I'll give myself a dietary target.
You don't have to. I want something productive that you've got to aim to do.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm going to make it a dietary target.
Yeah, if you want to.
So what I'm going to do is, I need to know how many cups. I've done very good today. In fact, I've only had one, maybe 2 cups of tea today. Normally it could easily be 10, 15. So I've done pretty good today. I will go 1 sugar.
Yep.
not 2 sugars. 1 sugar in my tea.
What is your description of 1 sugar?
It's a big sugar.
Which is?
As heaped teaspoon as I can fucking get. And I might even just go like, tip a little bit more in.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just making clear because they said that that's...
So one sugar.
1 teaspoon of sugar. You're not moving up to tablespoons.
And I'll replace every other cup of tea with a cup of lemon water.
It's really nice, actually.
Yeah, it is, and it's much better for your body, hydration wise and electrolytes wise.
Yeah, electrolytes is one of the major problems with the carnivore diet. Is getting
half
those in
tea plus 50% lemon water.
But one of the things that I'm even saying, like, as you can see, I'm not actually doing a pure carnivore diet. I'm putting other stuff in. So lemon drink, I might put it in because it gives me I wanted a bit more change in flavour. It's all well and good drinking water, but you need a change.
Done.
Done.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Are we ready to?
Yeah. We still don't have a way to close it or start, but that's...
Don't fucking matter, does it? Don't matter.
Fine.
I think yeah, guys, thank you. If you've got anything to add...
Apart from it's too long.
If you want to join in on our little journey in your own way, you know, put your pledge. So basically, I've kind of not broken it down into a diet-based goal and an activity-based goal, and we'll report back next week. So if you want to put your pledge in the comment,
if you want to comment, we'll record it.
All right, okay, yeah. I'll fill this wall up with post-it notes.
We'll fill the wall up, and if they break for whatever,
yeah.
Join in. If you've got something that you join in, we're doing it all together.
You know, yeah. And if you want to tell us your thoughts about the Revelations of 40k, or even if you knew,
that's what I'm going to call the series: Revelations of 40k.
You reckon?
Or the Revelations of Horus.
Yeah, but that takes us out of the realm. That puts us firmly in Nerdville. We're broader than that, aren't we?
Have you turned and looked at the table?
Yeah, but hopefully this will change, you know what I mean? We've got some paleo here as well. You know, that's not a
I've already got to it.
What? You got to what? Hey, in fact, next week...
Well, I'll leave it here, I don't need it.
Tell us about why you brought the pipe as your little totem thing.
I'll see you each time. I'll bring something a bit more interesting. I've got another one for next week and we can talk about it a little bit more.
Oh, okay, because that's a health-based totem, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Basically, he's giving up smoking a pipe.
I did that years ago. I did it last year.
Keep looking at this, yeah. So it's a health-based thing, and that's a real good thing. I kind of like the fact you brought it, yet at the same time, it made me go. Zzz, but whatever, you know, because it's smoking in it, and I gave up a while ago, and I was smoking everything. So, anyway, I'm waffling on. Yeah, add you bits and bobs. I keep talking at that. Not at this. We should be talking at this. Yeah.
I look over there.
Yeah. Add your.
Join in.
If you want a better life, that's what we're essentially up for. We're up for going this end on the spectrum.
If you do want to get hold of that spread, my Excel thing, I'll give you a blank one. If anyone wants that, if they put that in the comments, etc., I will put that up in a Dropbox so people can download.
I'm generally a bit done with stuff like that, so maybe I should have that as a target, then educate myself in that way. But right
now, I can put it up. Some people might want it.
I'm happy with that. 20 sets, 3 sets of 20 press ups.
60 press ups.
60 press ups. That's not in one go. Like when I do 3 sets of 20.
It's alright. We'll do middle. We'll do beginning, middle, end.
Alright. Yeah. Done. Easy peasy. So yeah. Are we all done? You shaking it?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's how we always end.